The Northeast Texas Sports Network is dedicated on delivering the most entertaining sports broadcasts in East Texas. And if you're interested in having your next sporting event streamed live, visit us online at NETSN.live.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of bEast from the East here on NETSN. I'm Mr. NETSN, Brett Swinney. Alongside me tonight, we've got Jeremy Diamond and Mr. Red Zone OT, KO Kyle Owens. Welcome, fellas. How's it going?
Good.
Man,
great. I'm excited for another week of football, baby.
We're through 4 weeks, so definitely officially a third of the way through the season. Over that, and it's crazy that we're already talking about week 5 tonight. And so before we get to week 5, though, let's discuss week 4 and the Pick'em challenge, guys. I'm feeling pretty good about my Pick'ems this week. The one I missed, I've got an asterisk by there because it's a hometown pick. I had to pick it, but hey, I felt pretty good about it for a little bit there, KO. And I'm sure you were thinking, man, this might be a battle here.
It was a battle, and I thought I did think Chapel Hill had a chance, and Chapel Hill honestly was probably the better team for a half, but they played 2 halves of football.
Yeah.
The Eagles proved that on Sunday, and Chapel Hill and Carthage, that was a game of 2 halves on Friday.
Did the Eagles play one play better than the other team? And
no, it was a half. It was a half because we were down 19-7 at halftime. Came out of half with the ball, fumbled immediately, Rams score in 1 play. We're down by 19, 26-7. Then all of a sudden, the magic of Jalen Hurts and Jordan Davis come to life. And Jordan Davis, big fella, rumbles and stumbles all the way for the tutty. It was awesome. I lost my mind over here, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. Let's look at the pick'ems here. We've got only one person was able to successfully get 10 out of 10, and he's a listener of the show. I know he comments on our stuff all the time. Mr. Jonathan Bradshaw, 10 out of 10. Congratulations. I'm looking down this list here. I see a Brandon Ogden right here with me at 9. Chad Grubbs, our leader from last week, also had 9. Let's see, Jeremy or Kyle. I don't see you guys.
I'm there. I'm there.
Oh, I'm there. I'm at 8.
Oh, okay.
I'm at 8.
Jeremy's on the first page. Kale, your name's below Jeremy, so you're down
that's fine. But I'm there though.
Hey, where's that Jaren guy? He no, he just didn't show up after he made some
like his picks that disappeared.
Yeah, and he didn't show up this week. He's now down. Wait, he had 7. Okay, 7, not too bad. He tied with his twin brother Darren. I think that's going to be the interesting competition. Which people's
brother I'm
higher on the pick'em
I'm mad at myself because I made a last second switch to Chapel Hill off of Carthage, and I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have listened to the online chatter, as it were. I think it was all a ruse to try to get a leg up on everybody else. But I did do that. I missed that one, so that was a bummer. But I feel pretty good about 8. I've been pretty consistent. It's not been at the top, but I haven't been any lower than I think maybe 7 at worst. I think I've been 8 or 9 each week, so I'm feeling good where I'm at.
If we gave points for moral victories, Jaren would be in first.
Yeah,
because that was his whole text.
If we let him pick, every team, then he would be in first because he'd pick. Okay, I got this team and this team this week. One of them got to win, right? So
that's right.
That was his whole text the other day. He's like, well, I picked this team, but if they would have done this, and if they lost, brother, they lost.
They did. And so let's go before we talk about this. Let's look at the leaderboard. And it's a good thing, Jeremy, you didn't have Coach Riley's picks this week. I was looking for him, and I had to scroll close to the bottom. He's kind of fallen off for the last couple. Maybe just, I don't know. We gave him a good pat on the back, and all of a sudden he got 5 out of 10, I think, this week. But top of the leaderboard,
the old announcer's jinx. We gave him a compliment. Killed him.
Hey, top of the leaderboard is Chad Grubbs and Jonathan Bradshaw tied at 33. So shout out to those guys. 33 out of 4 weeks. That's a pretty good percentage going on there. I will say right below them, there's some guy named Brett Swinney in third, sitting right there, right below. So not too bad. Jeremy, you're there with me. You're on that list of that have 31, 2 back. So let's see, Kyle, where are you at?
25th. I just looked.
25th. Okay. Not too bad. I see Brandon.
But I'm only 6 picks behind first, so it's not insurmountable by any means.
No, 6. That's an average of what? Pick behind per week, a little bit over.
Yeah, I just got to gain a pick or 2 every week, and we'll be fine.
Too bad. Let's see. Brandon is there in 11th, and at 29. But I don't see it. Jaren, did you pass? Did you look to see where you were in? Let's see. Jaren's in 30th. So Kyle, you're now ahead of Jaren.
So it begins.
Uh-oh. That's going to be the.
Don't call it a comeback. He came storming back like his Eagles, baby.
Uh-oh, wait a second.
Right.
Was he listening? Was he listening to the show? Was he listening?
He was listening.
He was listening to the show.
I was
he
feeling something in my ears, man.
Those ears were burning.
We were just saying how if it was up to you, and we were talking about how that if Jaren could pick every team on the list, that you could win every week. You always have reasons to pick each team, and you just feel bad that you don't pick the other one, and you have all these reasons why. Well, if this team would have done this and this and this, they would have won, but they still lost.
All I'm saying is that in all 3 of the games that I was kind of the odd man out, there were moments in those games. Even our buddy Coach Hubbard, I'm just saying, like that game went totally different. The Carlisle Brickhill game after Ibarra got hurt. You said that the whole first half of the Eagles West Russ game, Tatum-West Russ game, that the Eagles dominated the whole first half.
I wouldn't say dominated. They controlled the first half.
They controlled the first half. Okay. And then Lindell Gilmer, it wasn't a blowout, but Lindell obviously had.
Come on, Jaren. That we warned you about that. That was not
game.
That was not a game to go out on a limb on.
Yeah. You went out on a limb and saw the wrong side of the limb.
Well, yeah, not the first or last time in my life that's the case. But Hey, I won't be here long, but I've been promising a shout out to someone. Okay, so Coach Griff with Overton and his fiance Catherine, they come up to us after every game we broadcast for Overton, and they're like, "Hey, we are faithful listeners. Let's get a shout out." And it just hadn't worked out, so I knew I wouldn't be on much tonight, but I had to come on and at least give them a shout out because they are faithful listeners.
Well,
and
Coach Griff,
Coach Griff is doing well with the pick'ems.
He's on the top
in the.
He's actually on the first page, unlike someone, Jaron. He's on the first page of leaderboard.
Okay, you know what? So.
Well,
all right. On that note, you guys have fun. We'll.
All right, we'll see you.
We'll see you guys.
All right, we'll see you. And yeah, he just was tuned into the show, just decided to hop in. It was like his ears must have been ringing, like y'all said. I mean, that was interesting. But
those ears were itching, and he knew it was something. So
shout out to Coach Griff. Yeah, he has 28 there, so he's on the top leaderboard. He's definitely ahead of Jaron. So Jaron's got to give him some love. Maybe he needs to go take some picking tips from Coach Griff there.
You know, you got to know when you got to go to someone else, right? Like sometimes it's those worst ones where you like in that pick 'em and like your kids just randomly pick and they beat you, you know, and you're like spending hours on it and you're like, the team with blue is going to win.
Yeah, that's interesting. All right, so let's go through these this week, guys. Let's see. Let me pull up some scores here. That's a great place to get those. There's the NETSN website and app. That's a great place to grab those. The first one on the board, Elysian Fields and Hawkins. Man, Elysian Fields kind of made a statement this week, guys, as they took it to Hawkins pretty good. I know the score was close during the middle of the game. Elysian Fields, I think, closed in that fourth quarter and kind of closed it out. Kyle, was that the game? Did you go Thursday night to Elysian Fields? I thought so. Tell us what you saw. Was Kennedy the real deal there in Elysian Fields?
Kennedy's good. Nunu is a problem for. There's one play where he fumbled the snap, like it was a shotgun snap. He fumbled it. It dropped on the turf. He picked it up, looked for a second, found a hole, and untouched for like 55 yards to the house. Like it's just, he's a problem. He's different. And I'll tell you though, Hawkins gave him a run in that first half. I feel like this is going to be a theme for a lot of these games tonight. But for a half, it was a really close game. And then Elysian Fields, I think the better team pulled away in the second half. But Elysian Fields looks really good. I told Brandon this Friday night that I think they may win the district. I think they have now. Haven't seen Wascom yet, but you know, just looking at scores and seeing Elysian Fields in person, they got some really good size for a 2A. They have Nunu in the backfield, which is a problem. Defensively, they're really solid. They force turnovers on defense as well. So I'm really high on Elysian Fields. I think they have a really good chance to win that district under new head coach Bo Maines. And for Hawkins, though, they'll be fine. Hawkins has some athletes. They got talent over there. The quarterback's really good. You just got to give them some time to sit back there and find an open receiver. The line is a little smaller than normal, so just got to give Eli Smith a little extra time in the backfield. But, yeah, Elysian Fields, very impressed by them. They have a really good football team.
Well, and you got this district's interesting, too, because you've got you had Beckville, Elysian Fields, Ore City, and Wascom got wins in week 1 of their district schedule. And with that 8-team district slate, I mean, you're going to have – and you still have a Union Grove team that took their first loss. You have Hawkins who took their first loss. And so, I mean, you've got a lot of wins in this district. I mean, 2-2, 4-0, 3-1, 3-1, 0-4, 1-3, 3-1, 3-1. Only 4 of those teams can make it. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a battle every week. But I'm interested to see, you know, a good measuring stick is going to be next week for Elysian Fields. They play Beckville. And so a team of Beckville that struggled early kind of has come around the last couple of weeks. A team that was predicted in the top 2, can they get a win versus Beckville? I think that'll be a good measuring stick for them first. And then, of course, Wascom, we all know they were kind of the favored team to win this district. So I'm interested to see what Elysian Fields has.
And then I think Hawkins has Union Grove too, I think, right? So that's 2, 3, and 1s badly. I think that's right this week.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. I'm interested. Yeah, Hawkins is at Union Grove. Yeah, so that'll be interesting. It's going to be a crazy district. A lot of beating each other. I don't think this is going to be a straight 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there's going to be some tiebreakers and some things in there that we might have 5 teams and one team loses out on a tiebreaker at some point. So we'll see how it goes. Game 2, one Jaron was referring to, the Brook Hill Guard come back from behind. I think it was a 33-28 win for the Guard. Carlisle made it through a game with the lights staying on over there, and that's a win. Unfortunately for Carlisle, a couple of quarterbacks got hurt. They're down to their 3rd string quarterback. And so we'll see what Coach Baker and staff do. Don't know the seriousness of those injuries or how long they'll be out, but unfortunate for them. But it was a battle from what I heard back and forth in that one. And we talked about the size of the line of Brook Hill and the line of Carlisle. So does this surprise you guys? I mean, I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was going to be a good game and would be a 1-score game. When Carlisle got off to the big lead early, I was like, oh, okay. And then, Coach Hubbard was doing the game, and he's saying, hey, man, Carlisle's tough. We may not be able to come back. And for them to make that stand and come back, and, I know there was injuries that probably played a factor, but you still have to play the game. So what do you guys think about this one?
Yeah, I think I was, like we were together, Friday night, and it was interesting because – Coach Hubbard, you could tell he was a little bit nervous because usually he's like Brook Hill by 60, and when he sent us that message at halftime, he's like, guys, this might not be our night. I was like, oh man, and so I think like you said, the injuries did play a part in it, but again, you still have to come back, even if somebody gets injured, even if whatever happens, nobody's going to feel sorry for anybody, right? And nobody's going to give you any credit if you lose or win without some of your guys, and so you got to get that done. And hats off to Carlisle for not imploding too, because that's easy to do when you lose somebody like Ibarra and then the backup to him. I mean, that's for them to hang in there too and keep it a 1-score game. I think says a lot for both teams.
Yeah, I think that it's tough, especially at that 2A level when you lose your quarterback, who I believe Ibarra plays a little bit of defense too. So he plays.
I'm sure they probably play everywhere, and I think he got hurt last year as well, because that's when Camacho came in and played quarterback. Mm-hmm. He was the receiver, and Camacho ended up playing the rest of the year at quarterback and was successful. But when you take somebody that's a receiver normally and you put him at quarterback, you just lost somebody outside that you can rely on too. So not only
it's almost like losing 2 positions there, 2 play. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
it's tough.
That's what I mean. It's tough with the depth at the 2A level. So losing a key player like that, it hurts. I mean, we've seen it. We saw it at Timpson when J.J. Garner got hurt. When after Bussey left and J.J. went down, Timpson didn't look the same. It's similar to that with Carlisle. When you lose Ibarra, who does so much for that team, it's going to be tough for them to move forward with that. Again, we don't know how the severity of anything, if he's going to miss any games. We don't know any of that. But what I do know is it's going to be hard to win without him being in the lineup. So hopefully Ibarra is able to come back, and because Carlisle's got district play coming up, that's not going to be easy. It's going to be a grind in there as well. So shout out to the Guard for still fighting, right? They could have thrown in the towel when they were down early, and the Guard continued to battle and found a way to win that football game. So congrats to the Guard, and hopefully Carlisle can get healthy going into district.
All right, game 3. Mount Vernon and Atlanta. This was a close one. I mean, Mount Vernon gave them all they wanted, 22-17 in Atlanta. I don't know if it says more about Atlanta or Mount Vernon. I'm impressed with both. Atlanta got the win, but Mount Vernon to play that tough against a really good Atlanta team, I think that says that they have a lot to look forward to this season. I did have Atlanta on this one. We had, I guess Atlanta was the favored pick. 48 out of the 79 picks had Atlanta. Carlisle was the favorite to go back. Brook Hill was only picked 24 out of 79. So Brook Hill was an upset special of the week too. And this one, I don't know. Did Kyle, did you get any information on how this game went? I know you've. It's a little that's in that northeastern Texas area.
This is Jaron's area.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But the score, though, to me, I thought Atlanta would win by a little bit more than this. I'm impressed with Mount Vernon and what they're doing. They were a few years back. They were rolling and running along, and they've just struggled the last couple of years. And so it's good to see them getting back on track there. And we'll just kind of see how they look in district. What about you, Jeremy? What did you think about the score?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was going to be a bigger spread. I thought Atlanta would get it by 2 scores. I mean, so I was impressed with Mount Vernon being able to hold them to 22, and then keep it a 1-score game. And so I think that says a lot about where they're going, and I think probably gives them something to really look forward to, going into district play.
All right. Did anybody, Colin, you took Mount Vernon in that one, didn't you? I think. Yeah. Because you kind of covered that area a little bit more.
I went with the devil I know. I don't know anything about Atlanta. I knew about Mount Vernon.
That was almost a nice sleeper there. That was very close. If it was Jaron, you get close for being close, right?
I get a point. So I got 28 now instead of 27.
Half a point at least.
The next one was another close one, which was shocking me at first, as Mount Enterprise and Shelbyville had defense was not there. 62-57, guys. I saw this early in this game. It was Shelbyville was up like 30-8 or something, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, okay, Coach Wallace has found something there." And then all of a sudden, Mount Enterprise came back, and then it was just a back and forth, a game that I want to go back and watch. It was on NETSN. Larry was doing that game. I want to go back and watch to see some of it. I haven't got a chance to. It was kind of busy over the weekend and the first of this week, but I want to see kind of how that game went, because I got to see a few highlights of it. But you had Mount Enterprise coming in at 3-0 against the Shelbyville team with 0-3, and man, I just was surprised. I mean, we know Mount Enterprise can score, but Shelbyville was able to stay with them, and I was impressed by this. I mean, I thought Shelbyville would get beat by a couple scores, and for them to get ahead early, I don't know how it got there. Were there some turnovers? Were there a reason why Shelbyville was up 30-8? I don't know. But either way, I think it was an impressive game for Shelbyville, something that they can take in the district, because they're going to have to play hard in that district, because we've talked about it with Timpson, Garrison, was it Joaquin, St. Augustine. That's going to be a tough battle there. So they've been battle tested in the preseason. I think it's going to pay off for Coach Wallace. He has a lot to replace. When you have a guy like DJ Barnes, and he's not there anymore, when you heavily rely on him to kind of run your show, it's going to take some time to replace that. So I'm interested to see how they look when they start playing those guys in district. But what do you guys think about this particular score?
Look, I have a stat for you. Stats, if you will.
Okay.
Kagan Ash, all right? He won the game for Mount Enterprise. And this is no slight to anybody else on that football team, but it's the Terry Bussey effect to Timpson. When Ash leaves next year, this Mount Enterprise team will look completely different. And here's why. On Friday, he had 385 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns on the ground.
Wow.
He also caught 2 passes for 123 yards, 2 more touchdowns. So that's 8 total touchdowns if you're counting at home. He threw a 20-yard completion, and he added a pair of 2-point conversions. But he also plays defense. And defensively, he had 11 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, a sack, 3 forced fumbles, and capped it off with an interception return for a score on a 2-point conversion attempt. This dude, Keegan Ash, is a freaking stud.
Oh.
Like, it is unreal what he's able to do on the football field. So, as long as Mount Enterprise has a healthy Keegan Ash, they can go as far as they want. Now, defensively, they got some issues, because you give up 57 points to a Shelbyville team that hasn't won a game.
One guy can't tackle everyone, KO. That's another problem. I mean, maybe he can run by everybody on offense and break, but he can't make every tackle on defense. So he's going to have some guys step up and help him.
They're gonna need some help for sure, but I'm impressed with him.
I'm gonna do some math here. So he had 6 rushing touchdowns. That's 48, right? Okay, and then 6 rushings, 42, excuse me.
Oh, you can't give him the extra point. Did he kick the extra point too, KO?
No, but I'm just saying.
I don't know.
He probably did.
Maybe he did. I don't know.
Okay, but just run with me here. So 6 rushing, 2 receiving. That's 8 touchdowns. I know we're giving him the extra point, whatever. He did most of the work. So that's 56, right? You said he had 2 2-point conversions? So he gets another point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he gets another point there. I mean, like that's 58, and then he gets one defensively, so that's 60. So he's responsible for 60 roughly of this 62 points on the team. I would say that's a pretty beastly performance.
Absolute stud, dude. Absolute stud. So shout out to him and shout out to Mount Enterprise there. I need to go back and watch that game with you now because I didn't realize until I read that off out loud. Like I saw it earlier, but until I read it out loud, like that is insane. Like it was the Kagan Ash show, and it's gonna be fun to watch. And we had it on NETSN. And you know what, Brett? The best part about it, you don't have to pay a dime to see that type of performance.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what we provide is that it's that free 99 subscription. Yeah.
And it stays up in perpetuity. So after you watch it, go send that link to your friends and their friends, and maybe we can get this guy on some Sports Center love here on some NETSN video, and that's incredible, right? So even if you give him the 6 for the touchdown, so I want 48 plus 3 2-pointers. I mean that's still 54 points of their 62 he's responsible for, which is insane.
I'm looking for one of those kind of games, Jeremy. We haven't gotten one of those yet. We got a couple of defensive battles, but no shootouts like that.
Yeah, we haven't. We've had the blowout, and we've had the defensive battles. We haven't had the.
My quick math tells me you said 54 of 62.
Yeah,
they scored 8 touchdowns, right? So he got all their points essentially. We're thinking he didn't kick the extra points, but if he did kick the extra points, then he literally got every single point from Mount Enterprise.
Maybe a safety he wasn't responsible for or something crazy, but outside of that, yeah, he's there. It's crazy.
Man, oh man. All right. We got another one that was a good battle. Lovelady over Garrison, 41-34 in a pretty good battle there. I had Lovelady in this one. I think I was impressed that I thought Garrison may struggle against Lovelady. I'm impressed that they kept it within one score. Lovelady, man, they are going to be tough when it comes to playoff time. They're the small school in Division 2 of 2A, and so I would not want to meet them on the other side of the field when it comes to playoff time. A big win for the Lovelady team. Garrison, they'll be fine. This district, I just mentioned them with Shelbyville. I'm just really interested to see how this district goes. I'm sure we'll have a few of those games. Larry tends to bounce around down there to cover that district, and so I'm interested to see how those teams battle each other out, because I think we saw from St. Augustine, they were without their quarterback and came to Carlisle and played them tough. I'm interested to see how they look in the mix with them, and of course I'll have Timpson this week. I'm going to see them on Thursday night, and so I'm interested to see how they look. But this district's going to be a battle. I feel like it's 5 teams for 4 spots, and I think it's going to be a slugfest every night. So I'm really excited for that. And guys, what do you think about this Lovelady Garrison game here? KO, I know you had Garrison, I think, didn't you?
No.
Oh, I bet that was probably Jaron. Sorry, I got you confused with Jaron.
It was also Jeremy there, it looks like. But I had Lovelady. I think Lovelady's a great football team. I think they're one of the most talented teams in East Texas, especially in that 2A Division 2 level. I was impressed with the score, though. Like I thought Lovelady would win by 2, 3, 4 touchdowns and kind of pull away from it. But Garrison keeping it close, that's encouraging going into district play against the likes of the teams that you talked about. So impressed with Garrison's showing. I know we don't give moral victories out. Well, apparently on here we do. We give moral victories out. But I know there aren't moral victories, but this is something encouraging that Coach Alvarez can build on going forward.
Jeremy, you had Garrison here?
Yeah, I did. This was the one that I thought was kind of a toss-up for me, and so I went with a home team. I mean, that was really just I wasn't sure which one would pull it, so I went with the home field advantage. And so this is one of my 2 misses on the week, and so. But again, I don't think either team's going to be. Garrison's going to be fine. And again, they hung in there with a good Lovelady team, and I've been more impressed. And I didn't know much about Lovelady to begin with before this season, and so just been impressive watching them rack up wins. So.
All right, the next game was a game that Jeremy and I were at Friday night as the West Rusk Raiders. Shout out to Mike Garland for the stat. First time since 1987 to beat the Tatum Eagles. 14-10 win, a tale of two halves. Tatum controlled the first half, was kind of got sloppy, turnovers back and forth. A big pitch almost intercepted by not Jaron Peoples, but the Peoples for Tatum, his brother, almost
Corday.
ran it. What's that?
It's Corday Peoples.
Okay, Corday Peoples. There you go.
Yeah.
So it's his brother. I think they're Tatum. Jaron's close to all those Tatum people out there. He almost ran it back. It was a toss, and he read the play and almost intercepted the toss, and it dropped on the ground. He picked it up and ran it down inside the red zone. Wes Rusk was able to hold them to a field goal, though, which turned out to be a big play, because if they'd have scored, it would have been a different ball game at the end. But they got 10 points, and then the second half, Wes Rusk came out and was able to establish a passing game. And right before that fumble, Cam Brown dropped a for sure touchdown pass. He was wide open, and they had the drops a little bit. Cam Brown and Gunnar Harp struggled a little bit during the game with some drop passes that could have, made the game a little bit wider of a margin. But they came out that second half and got the offense clicking. Our man Williams with some great carries and runs. Of course, McCandless doing everything that he does, and it was a great game. I enjoyed it. It was a defensive battle, but man, Wes Rusk, it'll reflect in my polls. I've been thoroughly impressed with them. They played a tough schedule with their only loss to 3A Division I defending state champ runner-up Malakoff, which they competed in that game. It was not a blowout, and so I'm impressed to see how they match up with the Troop Tigers and ARP Tigers in that district. Now, I think they're, to me, from what I've seen now, they're that third seed that may spoil somebody. They're a tough team. Coach Mott, I got to talk to him a little bit before the game, and he's excited for what they've got, and they're trying to get back on track, because West Rusk has really been the class of this district up until the last couple of years. They have kind of controlled this district and been the front runner. So I'm excited to see what they've got. Jeremy, what your take? You were there with me. What did you want to add to this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think their defense is for real. Like their front line, they typically play a 3-man front, and then they've got a couple of edge guys that they're not afraid to hit you. They're going to let you know that they're there. I mean, Chris Sanchez at safety came in and put a couple of shots on some guys that made some guys question whether or not it was worth it to try to cut back across the middle on some things. And I was impressed. We were kind of surprised. It was 10-0 Tatum at halftime, and it didn't look like either team was going to, either team should have a lead. It was kind of one of those weird first halves. And then, that play by Peoples made a big difference, got them a field goal. And then Tatum just had really in the first half, one team had one good drive, and it was Tatum's to put them up 10. And then the second half, West Rusk was able to put in two really good drives and go up 14-10 and then hang on defensively at the end. And they just made it tough for Tatum. Tatum would get a play, and then they'd knock him back for a 6-yard loss. And it was like Tatum just kept going front back. They just couldn't get anything going, and it was just due to the Raider defense.
Yeah, West Rusk really forced them behind the sticks, like we talked about, and made it tough for them. They didn't let them get those short third downs. They were able to, force them back. Of course, there were some penalties involved, but I was really impressed. Ko, what do you think about this outcome here?
I'll let Jaron convince me last week to take Tatum.
Oh man!
And that'll be the last time I ever listen to Jaron on this show, because I had West Rusk picked last week, and then hearing him talk about Tatum and and hearing him talk about that wing tee or slot tee, whatever what they got in Tatum. There it is, something. That offense that they run in Tatum, it made me think, okay, well, maybe they can find some creases against West Rusk, but that Raider defense, from what y'all are saying, did not allow those creases to happen. So very impressed with West Rusk. Like you were talking about, they're kind of under the radar at 3-1 right here, because that one loss to Malakoff, and really they were up on Malakoff at halftime and let that one get away in the second half. So they're an impressive 3-1 football team and kind of flying under the radar. I think ARP and Troop are getting a lot of headlines in that district for good reason. They're both undefeated. But, West Rusk is a sneaky good team in there that could get either Troop or ARP to slide into that second spot and maybe even win district. You never know. If Coach Mata gets those boys playing at a higher level than they are right now, who knows what the limit is for West Russ. So very impressed with them.
All right, game 7. Jefferson and Pittsburgh. A game that was 40 apiece in this one. It was evenly split with picks. Jefferson was able to get the win, but it was a great ball game. I think to me, it says a lot about Jefferson being still good, but Pittsburgh, I want to see what they do in district. 32-29 win for Jefferson in Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh, man, they I don't want to say they're back, but they might be. They're back in the hunt. I think that in that district now, they're maybe that fourth team that we have to watch out for. I'm interested to see how they compete because it's a tough district that they've got coming up.
What's that? They could be your number 2 out of that district.
It could be. They could be the
number 2.
So you've got Pleasant Grove, which you think is the class of this. Now you're going to take them above the Van Vandals.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I think that game it could be for that 2 seed because I think Pittsburgh is super impressive this year, especially they played down a little bit going to play Jefferson, but Jefferson's one of the class of 3A Division 1 teams. So
they're not playing a low level Division 3A Division 1.
Right.
It's a team that's
right and competed their tails off with them. So I'm very high on this Pittsburgh Pirate football team. I'm not going to put them above Van just yet. I do think they're above Gilmer, but I'm not going to put them above Van just yet.
How close is Pittsburgh and Gilmer? They're not that far separated, right?
No, they're not that, probably 10, 15 miles.
When's the last time that you thought you would say you put Pittsburgh above Gilmer, Kyle?
Never in my life. And it may not be this year, right? Like we could just be seeing Gilmer going through some struggles right now, and then they'll turn it on. Because if you remember, they started like this before and then went on to win a state championship.
Yeah,
so,
and you have to remember who Gilmer has lost to.
Right.
Kilgore, Chapel Hill, and Lindale. So you have to kind of put that in perspective. Like, that's not who Pittsburgh played. Now, no offense to Jefferson, but Jefferson's no Kilgore, Chapel Hill, or Lindale.
Right. So. But the problem is, Brett, is that they got absolutely walloped by Kilgore.
They did.
Lost the game to Chapel Hill in the second half. And then other than a late score against Lindale dominated that game. So, like, what they really haven't been Gilmer, right? They haven't been Gilmer. So I think this is a good year for Pittsburgh to make some noise, and they have a really, really good chance, I think, of getting for sure a 3 seed. I think, but maybe even a 2 against Van.
You don't want the 4 seed. Let's just go out on a limb. You don't want the 4 seed. So it's going to be a battle to try to get those second and third spots. So, what do you think, Jeremy? What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I think both teams are quality teams, and I've been impressed with Pittsburgh so far. And I think it's they're going to be in a tough district, but I've got them 3 and maybe 2. I think Van show what they're capable of against Lindale, and so that game's going to really come down to where that seeding lies, in my opinion, unless something crazy happens and Gilmer catches a spark. But I think Gilmer's the 4th team in that district right now. And
where's that alarm at? Jeremy,
the Gilmer it's come down a little, but it's still not this. The fire is still there, so there's still a little bit of worry there. I think getting a district win will help them a long way of kind of settling the unease of the fans. But they're not done, but I think it's definitely not the season that you probably expected walking in, or you haven't seen what you're used to seeing out of your team. And again, it's not that they lost to the teams they lost to, but I think a couple of those were how out of touch it was.
Well,
go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
Well,
I was going to say in 3 weeks we get Gilmer hosting Pittsburgh to open district play. So that is going to be that's a fun one. That's a fun one to kick off district play with. And Gilmer has Brenham this week, so I don't think it's going to get any. I don't know anything about Brenham, but historically they're a good football team, so I don't think it's going to get any easier for the Buckeyes. So when you look at their schedule, like, you're staring down a possible, I'm not saying it'll happen, but you're staring down a possible 7-game losing streak for Gilmer, because they've already lost 3 in a row. If they lose to Brenham, If they lose to Pittsburgh, then they got Van, then you got Pleasant Grove, then you got Spring Hill and North Lamar to end your season. You're looking – I'm not saying it'll happen, but it's more possible this year than I think we've seen in years past. I'll put it that way.
See, you could see a 3-7 season out of that easily.
Yeah,
I think you beat Spring Hill. I think you beat Paris North of Lamar, right? You probably
which gets you in the playoffs,
right? But yeah, not at all what the expectation is or what the norm is.
Well, and y'all, as we talk about Gilmer, that is our next game on the pick'em here. Is Lindale knocked off Gilmer, 35-23. And Kel, you said there was a score late in that one, so they kind of made it look closer.
I think so. I mean, I listen. I'm impressed with Lindale though, because it would have been real easy for them to, after the high of that Van game, and especially with the way that Gilmer's been struggling here recently. It would have been real easy to overlook Gilmer and think, well, we're just better than them off the bus. But they didn't. Coach Cochran went in there and had them focused and had them playing right. And I think that's a big win for Lindale to show that Van win wasn't a fluke, that they are a quality football team this year, still undefeated 4-0, and we'll see. They get the biggest test of the year this Friday night, so far up to this point. So we'll see Friday, but impressed with Lindale right now and how they've rolled through this non-district schedule. 4-0. If you would have told me Lindale was going to be 4-0 at the end of non-district, I probably wouldn't have believed it, just because they always seem to lose a game or two in that non-district slate playing against these opponents. But they've rolled through this. I'm not going to say rolled through with, easy wins. They've had to battle through some adversity with Mount Pleasant and Van as well. So they've battled and shown that they have the intestinal fortitude, if you will, to really be a competitive team this year. So I'm excited about the Lindale Eagles. My Lindale Eagles.
All right, Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm impressed with this Lindale team. I think you and I are going to get a good look at them on Friday and, get another idea of seeing where they're at, right, in a good game and one I'm excited about. I know we'll talk about more later, so I don't want to give too much away, but I'm pumped for that game. I'm pumped for just what that means for both teams. And so I think, Lindale has been impressive. They've come through the fire a little bit. And so I think that really helps you walking into district play when you've had a couple of those games where you've really had to scratch and claw your way versus coasting in where you might rest a little bit. And, and Coach Cochran's just a good dude. I mean, he's a great coach and he gets his guys ready, and just a guy that, any school would be lucky to have a guy like him on their staff as the head of their program.
He ain't going nowhere, Jeremy. He's staying right here in Lindale, America, all right? He ain't going nowhere.
All right. Game 9, the game KO was at Chapel Hill and Carthage. As when I turned it on the score earlier, we're like, whoa, Chapel Hill up 21-7. And I got the chance to talk with a few people about this game. And the score – early Chapel Hill kind of took it to them, and they had a chance to maybe, cruise into the half with the lead, take the air out of the ball, go in and got a little greedy. I don't know, but they went and tried to score some more points, and then Carthage answered. Next thing you know, instead of it being maybe 21-14 or maybe 28-21, it was 28-28 at half, and then had a couple of onside kicks or pooch kicks, you'll say, that were muffed, and so gave Carthage like 3 straight possessions, and that pretty much just did the game in there. And so for me, and this will be reflected here when we do our polls, but the way that the game went, I don't feel like Chapel Hill is that much below Carthage, at least in this game, the way it went. Like they kind of gave them the game, at least by the margin. Now, take those out, Carthage may still have won, but it wasn't the margin that you saw because of the fact that they were the mistakes and the muffs. And Kale, you may agree or disagree with me. I don't know, you were there. What do you think about this game between Chapel Hill and Carthage?
I think the way the game was explained to you was through a Chapel Hill's perspective.
Okay, well then give me your perspective.
Does that make sense? And I'm not saying it was wrong. I'm just saying. So yes, they had a chance to have the lead at halftime, but it wasn't like they let. it wasn't a decision they made. So they scored with about 44 seconds to go in the half and took a 28-21 lead. They kicked off. When they kicked off to the next possession, they did a squib kick. Well, it hit one of the up return guys like in the middle. It didn't go all the way back. It hit one of the middle up guys, and he returned it for a kickoff return for a touchdown. So it wasn't like they tried to go down and score points and got greedy or anything like that.
Well, no,
I
think it was before. Score. I think it was before that. Instead of kind of just trying to take some air out of the ball and go into the half, they kept and then they gave Carthage too much time. I think is what.
I mean, 40 seconds is not a lot of. I mean, well, if I'm Coach Reardon, I'm trying to score. I'm not worried about leaving. You know, like you're at that point in the game with how the game was going. You needed points. You needed to score. So I don't think it mattered when they scored. Yeah. All the defense had been playing really well in the first half. Like really, really well in the first half. I'm with Reardon, trusting my defense there. Do a squib kick. Don't allow a big return. I think that was the key. He didn't want a big return, and that backfired. But I don't think it's anything Chapel Hill did. I don't think it's a negative on them other than not covering the kick return. Now, it was one hell of a kick return too. He ran to the left side,
he went all the way
back across, had to break a couple tackles. Like it was Carthage. It was Carthage being Carthage. So yes, and that hurt. That really hurt bad because Carthage got the ball after half. So they got the daily double right there of scoring before halftime and then got the ball right after halftime and went down and scored again.
And then they got 2 muff kickoffs in a row.
So I think I could be wrong. I think they recovered one of them.
No,
so
they lost both of them.
I don't know. I don't know about that because I think I know for sure they lost one. He muffed 2. He muffed 2 for fact, but I think they only lost one because there was only one. There was 3 turnovers in the second half. The muffed fumble on the kick and then 2 picks by G. So I think they got the second one back, but you can go back and watch it and figure it out. Either way, Chapel Hill had the same thing in the first half, though. Like, they had 3 Jet Surratt turnovers. If you get Carthage to turn the ball over 3 times and a half, you have to capitalize. Yeah. You cannot punt the football back away and come away with no points on those drives. You must capitalize against Carthage when they give you those opportunities. Kilgore last year, in the season opener last year, forced 4 Jet Surratt turnovers and still only won the game by like 5 points. So when you have 3 turnovers and you're still tied going in at halftime, you are in a dogfight, no pun intended. And then in the second half, it just Carthage wore them down, man. It was Benny Hill and KJ, or Benny Hill, goodness gracious, Benny Smith and KJ Edwards just pounding the freaking rock. And it was Carthage would get to a 3rd and 3 or a 3rd and 4. Chapel Hill's defense needs to stop, and they just could not get off the field when they needed to. And eventually just wore down. And I think at that point, I think Malik and the offense was pressing a little bit, knowing they had to score and couldn't match Carthage score for score. And I think it just got away from them. But to your point, Chapel Hill is a lot closer to Carthage this year than I think they've been in years past. Chapel Hill can play with Carthage. I think if Chapel Hill and Carthage play 10 more times, Chapel Hill may get them once or twice out of that. Like, I think Chapel Hill they are an extremely good football team. Carthage is Carthage. And when Carthage gives you opportunities like the turnovers that Chapel Hill had in the first half, you have to capitalize and put them away. You can't keep Carthage in the game. But I was impressed with both teams. Impressed with Carthage for the fortitude, the mental fortitude to stay in that game. Because you're right. It got 21-7 quick. And Chapel Hill was up fast. And Carthage, to their credit, just slowed things down, played more methodical, and made the game more of theirs, was able to fight back. And again, their defense you got to give them a ton of credit because offense kept turning the ball over to Chapel Hill, but the Carthage defense kept staying locked, staying engaged. DeMarcion Blaylock is a freaking stud, dude. He is him and Malik Brown on the outside or at receivers. That's two of the best in the state at that position. With Malik G throwing them the ball like that. Chapel Hill is a solid football team, but Carthage on that night is tell of 2 halves. Chapel Hill, I think, won the first half. Carthage won the second half in the football game. So kudos to both teams. It was an excellent game to be at.
Well, I think that I talked about before. It's a different team than years past, where they're able to kind of balance attack more. Having that passing game, it's going to force defenses to have to be able to do both. Sometimes you have a defense, maybe they're solid at run defense, but they don't have a secondary to cover. It'll be interesting to see this week with the weapons Chapel Hill has, how that matches up against what Lindale has in the secondary. Will be the matchup that I'm looking forward to see. I know Lindale's going to have size up front in their front seven, but do they have the guys on the outside to stay with those receivers? And so I think that'll be interesting to see how that works. But we'll talk about that game here in a minute, I'm sure. Jeremy, what did you think about this one? I know we were watching it, kind of the score together, and saw that 21-7 lead early.
Yeah, and I was, like I said, on the show last week, I said I was taking Carthage, and then right before I hit submit, I kind of got some information, and I thought it was going to go the other way, and so I picked Chapel Hill. So that was my second miss. I should have just stayed with the gut there, but yeah, early on I was like, well, maybe I did do the right thing. Maybe maybe it is Chapel Hill's night, but again, Carthage hasn't gotten where they've gotten with 10 rings on accident. And I think, that's the thing there. But again, I think I'm impressed with Chapel Hill and the way they started. And then again, I think a couple of issues you fix there. I think this game could be different. So I think if you're Chapel Hill, you go, hey, we clean things up. That's a different game, right? You can talk to yourself going, hey, we've got a shot at the end of this thing if we don't make those mistakes, if we don't do those things right. And Carthage says, hey, look, it's going to take everything you got to beat us, And so I think for both teams, I think it's, again, there's no moral victories, right? But I think you feel like if you're Chapel Hill, you're a lot closer than you thought you were before.
All right, game 10. Kilgore traveled up to the very, very northeast corner of East Texas and got the win on the road, 18-6. This is one I'm sure was a big win for Coach Fuller, as he was on the staff at Pleasant Grove as the offensive coordinator before he came to Kilgore. So I think that was his first time to go back, I believe, since he had left as far as to play there. So big win for Kilgore. I mean, I don't know that it says anything about either team. We know both teams are really good. Like, I think it's impressive that Kilgore went up there and got a win on the road, but I don't want to take anything away from Pleasant Grove. I mean, they lost to a solid football team. Now, it was at home, so that's a tough way to lose, but I think both teams are going to be fine. But it's a good test. I like these kind of games. I think a lot of these East Texas teams playing each other, with a tough schedule, it's just going to make them better down the road. Kyle, what do you think about this Kilgore squad? They went up and got that big win over Pleasant Grove.
I think it's a statement win. I think it's a statement win for Kilgore to prove that they are out for revenge this season, and they are on a war path to get back to Arlington. And I think this is a good step towards that direction.
And they won a different way. We've seen them win by scoring a lot of points. We've seen them win by scoring not as many points. Kind of shows that they're kind of multidimensional as far as the way they can win games.
And this is the Kilgore I'm more familiar, like the defensive-minded Kilgore. When I think Kilgore, I think defense. I don't think of them putting up 50, 60 points, although they're capable, and they can, and they have in the past, and they've had shootouts in games in the past. But when I think of defense, I think of them, or Kilgore, I think of defense. I think of them hanging their hat on defense. So I think this is kind of a statement, a typical Kilgore Bulldog win. It wasn't pretty. It was ugly, 18-6. Not a pretty game, but they found a way to win the game on the road, and I think that's a mark of a good football team. And they're still my pick to win the 4A D1 state championship.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to echo you guys' sentiments. I think, it says both teams are going to be very, very good. We know that. I think for Kilgore for their defense to hold a Pleasant Grove team to just 6 points, I think says a lot about their defense and the system they run and how well they run it. And then to go up that far, right? I mean, it's a long drive, and we joke about it. I mean, it's a long way up there, and it's literally almost Arkansas. And, you could come into that with maybe a little bit of, tired legs or whatever that was. And I think that they did a good job there of just putting the defense on lock and just not letting Pleasant Grove really get anything going. And so hats off to them for a big win. And I think both teams are going to make a lot of noise this year in the playoffs.
All right. How about any games that you guys saw this week that weren't our pick'ems that stuck out to you that we should talk about? Kale, we'll let you go first. What do you got? I know you got some. I know you're
I wasn't ready. I think Lufkin getting a big win over Tyler High. I think Tyler High performed well. Just they're not there yet. They keep inching closer and closer to. We keep saying Cujo's back and all that. They're not quite there yet, but they are trending in the right direction. So I think that was a good showing for them. I do want to say, I know in the Rusk and Troop game, there was an injured player for Rusk that I forget the young man's name, but he had to be taken to the hospital, taken in an ambulance off the field. I believe last update I had heard, he at the time he had lost feeling in his extremities on the field. As of Sunday, I think he had regained feeling and all that, and had come to and all that. He had a severe concussion and got hit pretty bad. So, but in typical East Texas fashion, Troop and Rusk players surrounded the ambulance, prayed together, the prayer everywhere. So just another great example of East Texas and the communities around there on both sides. It was a competitive football game, but everybody stopped and came together in that one moment for that young man. So I don't really know of any other games to talk about really, but I think that's a good moment to shine a spotlight on.
Yeah, sure. I like that. And I think, it says a lot about Rusk. I think this game was close. I mean, Rusk has struggled, and Coach Welch and his staff are really trying to rebuild things the right way down there. And I think they're on the right track. I do think that Troop they may be a little, smaller school than Rusk, but they're a good football team. That's not a slouch Troop coming to town. So shout out to Rusk. I think they haven't won a game yet, but I think it's going to take a little bit to build culture. And I'm excited to see what he does down there. They've got Coach Beaton also on defensive staff. I know Coach Beaton, as he was at Chapel Hill, also was at White House and ARP as well, I believe. And so very good coach. And so I'm excited to see where Russ goes. Just looking through here, Liberty Allo wins by one, like a field goal, 41-38 in Bullard to get their first win. Not really, if they're beating them by 3, I'm concerned about Liberty Allo. I know we talked about that district, with Jefferson and Atlanta. I don't know where Liberty Allo sits here. It'll be interesting to see once district play starts, kind of, because you've got an improved Gladewater team. You've got a Tatum team that's improving each week, trying to get their new guys some reps. I'm interested to see where they go. White Oak moves to 4-0 with a 69-6 win over Queen City. I don't know how good that is, but they're 4-0. We'll see. We'll see if that translates once they get to a tougher district schedule. Athens is just destroying people. I mean, Athens has got something going to their Coach Harrell and that group. I'm interested to see how they line up with, most likely they'll probably be that second seed in that district. So that Athens, whoever they play round 1, could be a really good game. I'm excited to see where they go. It's kind of going down. Is there any games that I know there's a certain team that you were following the other night that got a win, a controversial, like, last minute no touchdown call in the game that you were watching, Jeremy. What about your legacy team there?
Yeah, that was kind of a crazy one. I mean, they were up pretty big early. I think they were up, at least 14.5, I think. And then Crowley would score, and then I think the game kind of stayed 10, and then all of a sudden it was a tie game, and then Legacy took a lead, and then I think it was 38-35, and last play of the game, it was kind of a weird play. Like, the Legacy corner kind of started, and then he kind of stopped, and they threw the ball to the back of the end zone, and it was really close. It was hard to tell, on YouTube what was in or out, but Christina said they showed the replay in the stadium, and his foot was on the back line as he made the catch. So had possession, but his toe was out of bounds, and so what could have been disaster, right? Last second loss turned into kind of elation for the Legacy Raiders on homecoming, and so and then you mentioned White Oak. Gladewater bounced back with a big win over Spring Hill. So good for them to kind of get back on the front foot again, and they had a tough loss to the West Rusk Raiders, and so I thought that was big.
I've got some interesting scores. So Malakoff goes to 1-3, guys, as they lost to Grandview 31-21. So Malakoff goes from losing one game in 2 years. Now they lost 3. So that's interesting. We'll see when district play starts if they can, get it going again. Longview goes to across the border to Louisiana and loses to Ruston by 3 at a field goal at the end of the game. We kind of had our eye on that one. So Longview goes to 2-2. And what about Dangerfield getting their first win against Center, 38-27 in Center? I thought that was
here come the Tigers. Here come the Tigers.
And then another
people talking about him. They said, "Forget it. You want to talk bad about? We're coming."
Another surprising score. Frankston gets the win, but only a 39-34 game. And Kyle, you said, I think, or was it Brandon?
It was Brandon.
8 turnovers. Won the game and had 8 turnovers. Man, that's impressive in itself. Because that score did surprise me when I first looked at it. I was like, man, that's, and then I saw the 8 turnovers. Okay, well, that makes sense. We had the game. New Diana Redwater was a close one, 20-18 over New Diana. So they got their second win of the season. So that's a couple that I saw that were, I don't know, that maybe they're just surprising to us right now, but some of those scores really surprised me this week. There was some interesting ones, which makes it more intriguing. Like once we get to district play here, some people have already started, but most haven't yet. So we'll get to kind of see how those go. That's kind of all I saw. Winsboro beating Hooks by just 7. That was a little surprising. Only a 7-point win. Do you have any insight on that one, Ko? Did you talk to?
No, I know Hooks is a good football team. So they could have had Winsboro could have been down a little bit, offensively, but defense is not always, but defense has been an issue for Winsboro. They can always score some points, but they struggle stopping people at times. And I think it just seems like that game was one of those back and forth games that mark of a good football team. They found a way to win at the end, and they're still undefeated.
Yeah, I mean, a win's a win, right? It doesn't matter if you're close. Jaron, it doesn't matter if you get close. You have to win the game.
Hey, Brett, there was one more I forgot about from Thursday night. Grand Saline goes and beats Joaquin at home 29-7. That was the other one that was surprising to me a little bit. Not that they won, I think, but that seems to be a pretty convincing win, right? 22. I mean, that's 3 scores. I didn't expect that, and especially for a home game for Joaquin. And so I'm impressed with this Grand Saline team. And yeah,
I'm impressed with their defense to hold them to 7, because we know how potent that Joaquin Ram offense can be, especially that option style offense and ground and pound. So for Grand Saline's defense to bow up and only hold them to 7, that's very good for Grand Saline going into district.
All right. Y'all ready to talk some polls?
Let's do it.
Okay. Polls coming out. This is the week 4 polls. They will be live as we're talking about them here. Let's start with the big school poll, 6A, 5A, 4A, and we'll start from the bottom. You guys ready? You got your pen and paper ready, Kyle? Oh, your phone. Okay. All right. We're good. All right. Starting at 15, we have the Van Vandals at 15. We have at 14, we have Pittsburgh. They dropped 1 spot down, but it was a loss to a really good Jefferson team, so it must not affected them too much. Canton at 13. We have Henderson at 12 and Athens at 11. All right, guys, what do you think about that 11 through 15? Kyle, we'll start with you down there.
You always start with me when I'm not ready. Okay, I think it's. Let's see. I did drop Van 3 spots down to 15, so that's dead on for me. I think the loss to Sunnyvale was surprising, especially losing by 14. Now, I did hear that their starting running back and linebacker were out against Sunnyvale, so obviously that hurt Van a little bit. But so I dropped them. I moved Canton up 1 from 15 to 14. I got Pitt at 13. They were at 11 on mine, so I dropped them a couple spots. I dropped Texas High into 12th after their loss, and then Henderson, I moved them up to 11th. So a little different there in mine.
Okay. All right. Jeremy, what'd you have?
Yeah, I had Athens at 15. No, excuse me. Sorry, let me say that again. I had Van at 15. Sorry, I was looking in the wrong direction. I had Van at 15. I had Canton at 14, Pittsburgh at 13, and then Henderson at 12, Athens at 11. So I moved Henderson up 3 spots, and so I just had the Pittsburgh Canton flip on that one.
Yeah, I think I've got those same teams, just not in the same order. I've got Pittsburgh at 15, Canton at 14, Van at 13, Henderson at 12, and Athens at 11. So it's pretty consistent down at that bottom 11. All right, so let's move up to 10 through 6. So at 10, we've got Marshall. We've got a tie for 8 with Texas High and Pleasant Grove. They're probably going to like that being tied. Those two teams are pretty close up there. And then you've got Sulphur Springs at 7 and Lindale at 6. That's what we've got so far. I had Marshall 10, Pleasant Grove 9, Texas High 8, Longview 7, Sulphur Springs 6. So I had similar to those, I guess. All right, this time I'll start with you, Jeremy. Who you got?
All right, so I had Lufkin at 10. I had Marshall at 9, Texas High at 8, PG at 7, and then Lindale at 6. So I had Pleasant Grove at 5 before that, dropped him down to 7. I left Texas High kind of in the same spot just because of the out-of-state, change there. And then I kept Lufkin at 10. I probably should have moved them up a little bit. I probably didn't give them enough credit for beating Tyler High, but I just still don't know enough about this Tyler High team. I mean, they're kind of Jekyll and Hyde. Like, they looked awful against Legacy, got blown out. Then they go out and, smush Seagoville, and then, they take a 7-point loss here. I think they're kind of in that spot where I wasn't sure. And so I probably should have moved Lufkin up, but I kind of kept them where they were just on that line. So,
all right, Kay, what do you think about, what do you have at 10 through 6 there?
I got Athens at 10. I moved them up 3 spots. They were at 13. And then I got Marshall at 9, Lindale at 8, Sulphur at 7, and Lufkin still at 6. So I think all those teams right there won, and so I just kind of kept them where they were.
Okay. I had Marshall at 10, Pleasant Grove 9, Texas High 8, Longview 7, Sulphur Springs 6. So pretty close there. I mean, Longview's got 2 losses. I think they may be better than some of the teams ahead of them. But they've took 2 losses, so I had to drop them a little bit down. I have Lufkin ahead of them, even though Lufkin got beat by Longview.
See, I couldn't do that. That's why I didn't.
Yeah, but here's my thing. It's like I feel like that Longview should start racking up wins, and then they'll move up as they do.
But if Lufkin keeps winning, what's your rationale to jump them?
It is, but the fact that they lost 2 games, if they both had 1 loss, now there's too many teams.
3-point loss to Sock and a 3-point loss to a Ruston, Louisiana team.
I don't know enough about. Our Louisiana expert's not here. I'm not sure how Ruston compares to what Longview is. The Sock loss is not a bad loss. Now Sock is 5A division, 1 or 2. They're lower. But they're a good team. Obviously, they've beaten some good teams. So, I can't penalize them too much. But they did go out of state and lose to Ruston. Now, if Jaron comes back next week and says, well, Ruston's like the best team in the state of Louisiana, okay, well, maybe. I just don't know.
They are. They are.
I don't know enough about Ruston in advance. So, I'm trying to focus on East Texas, KO. I can't get over there in Louisiana, too.
I don't know. I feel like Jaron said that last week. That's the only reason I remember.
He did. Maybe he did.
So
I tend to tune him out sometimes because I don't want to get bad information.
That I listened to him last week, but I'm never listening to him again.
Okay, so let's go top 5 here. We got 5 is Lufkin, 4 Longview, 3 Chapel Hill, 2 Kilgore, 1 Carthage. So in the main poll, it kind of all leveled itself out. Longview is still in the top 4 between all of us here. I had Lufkin 5, Lindale 4, Chapel Hill 3, Kilgore 2, Carthage 1. Now, my top 4 didn't move. I know Chapel Hill lost to Carthage, but from what I've seen of the game and how it went, and the fact that Kilgore and Chapel Hill both lost to Carthage, Chapel Hill lost by a little more. They're below them. I kept Lindale right there because I could have moved Lindale up, but they play this week, so I don't need to. We'll wait and see they play, and then if Lindale wins, then they'll move ahead of Chapel Hill. So that was my logic there with that. I could have flipped them. I didn't want to drop Chapel Hill any lower because obviously with the schedule they've played, I feel like that they're right there with Kilgore. So I think it's a good spot. Those 3 teams are going to figure themselves out here in the next 4 or 5 weeks. So, all right, what do you got for me, KO? You go first.
This was the toughest part of the poll for me because I preach on here. You take a loss, you got to drop. Like it's part of it.
Here we
go.
Here we go.
Honest with
Are you going to pull a Jaron?
My top 5 did not change. I still got PG at 5 because they lost to my number 2 team, Kilgore. I mean, I don't feel comfortable dropping them below my 16 Lufkin. Like I still think Pleasant Grove is a better team than Lufkin. So I was looking at it and I'm like, I can't move them. Like I can't. So I left PG at 5. I left Longview at 4 because again, I can't put Lufkin over Longview when Longview beat Lufkin head up. And so I know that Sauk is a good football team. Ruston is one of the better Louisiana teams. It's 3 points each. Like I can't, I just couldn't move them. Same thing for Chapel Hill. Like, yes, they lost, but it was to the number 1 team in the state. And I saw that Chapel Hill was right there I saw it with my own eyes. So I couldn't move them either. So yes, 3 of them lost, and none of them dropped.
You sound like your name should be Jaron Peoples on there, KO.
I know. I'm not proud of it, but what do you want me to do? I don't know what I should do with those. Like the only 2 I knew for sure.
Rank them all number 1, like he would. Just everybody's number 1. Everyone's 1.
The only one I know for sure is Carthage is number 1 and Kilgore is number 2. Those are the 2 that I know for fact right now. At 3, 4, and 5, I could argue either one of those there, but I didn't feel comfortable moving them out of the top 5 because they lost.
I feel like this is still backwards, KO, because I feel like I'm ranking your Lindale Eagles way higher than you are.
I had them low in mind to begin with, so they're having to move up. But again, I don't think it's hard to jump a team if they win. Like my philosophy when I do these rankings is if you win, you move up or you stay where you're at. And so the teams above Lindale won outside of Longview, Chapel Hill, and Pleasant Grove.
If somebody had Chapel Hill at number 10 in their poll, what would you say to them?
10? Where were they the week before?
8.
I mean, they only dropped them 2 spots for losing to the number 1 team. I don't think that's terrible.
Who do you think that was?
Oh, it's probably Jaron.
No, it's not Jaron, actually. It's our old friend, Coach Hubbard.
Oh.
So I'm about to have a talk with Coach Hubbard here.
Well, see, he just knows private school ball. He don't know public school ball.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm kidding.
Shots fired.
Oh, man. Hold up. The phone's ringing. Oh,
yeah.
Hey, Coach Hubbard.
We're revoking the season pass for a 1 Kyle Owens.
I know. I'm not welcome on Brook Hills campus anymore.
Oh, man. No, I was kind of just in that same lines. Like I feel like that I saw what they did, the comparison to Kilgore, and I feel like they're right there. I think that's fair enough. I just have Lindale higher because they've been impressive so far. They've played a tough schedule and they've racked up wins, and they're right there with Kilgore and Chapel Hill, and we'll let them figure it out in the field.
Exactly. So here's my thinking. So I have Lindale at 8 in mind. If they beat my number 3 Chapel Hill, I think Lindale easily shoots up into the top 5. So like there's room for my Eagles to go up. I just need them to keep winning.
Okay. All right. I'm ready to discuss that later. All right, Jeremy, what you got to your top 5?
Yeah, so to point for the Lufkin thing, I looked it up. Ruston is ranked 99th nationally. Carthage is ranked 101 nationally. Whatever that means, Brett. Right? Whatever that means. And then Ruston is the number 1 team in Louisiana Division I non-select, whatever that means. But
there you go.
So they're the number 1.
Good football team.
Yeah, good football team. So my top 5, and again, I had PG at 5. I dropped them to 7, and so everybody else kind of shimmied up 1 spot for the most part. So I moved Sulphur from 6 to 5. Longview stayed at 4. Chapel Hill, I moved them from 2 to 3. And then moved Kilgore up to 2. So I just swapped those, and then number 1 I didn't change with Carthage. So that was my top 5. And again, it was the Chapel Hill thing. I didn't want to penalize them much, but Kilgore got a big win over Pleasant Grove, and then Chapel Hill taking the loss there. I needed to make that kind of reflect in my poll. But again, this top 7 or 8's it's a good group of teams right there, and there's going to be a battle to the end of the year who's where.
Okay, so is there anybody that you guys have in your poll that didn't make it, or that you're kind of watching on the outside now? I know we're kind of getting into the nitty gritty, and maybe some of these teams have separated themselves. One that I was watching, that I've been watching, is Henderson, kind of trucking up the poll, and that Athens 7-point loss to Athens doesn't look that bad. We saw them this week. The competition level was not up to snuff there. Gainesville just didn't. Poor guys had like a whole 10 or so guys injured on the sideline before the game, and they just didn't.
They had a starting lineup in dress in short shirt and shorts, and they were down to their third quarterback, who was really a wide receiver. And
yeah, so but Henderson's got some dudes. We got to see them. They look the part. Like I'll be interested to see how they compete against that district. We'll get to see them a little bit, but I think they're one that I've kind of moved in. I was watching, obviously, Canton. They're now in my poll. I just don't know if there's anybody else that I've got on the outside. I like my 15 right now. What about you guys? Is there anybody that you're looking at that's maybe
all my 15 are in the poll, so
yeah.
I think I got a pretty good gauge on it right now. I'm seeing the ball pretty well in this 6A, 5A, 4A poll.
Yeah, I agree. Mine is also that way. I have obviously different spots, but everybody that I've got in my top 15 is in here too. I'm just looking down here. Now, if you were, I'm going to ask you this, KO, just because I'm seeing some things on this poll when it's entered here. If you were to say that someone had Longview at 13 in this poll, what would you say to them?
I would say they're just going off the losses and not looking at who the losses are to, or the score of the losses.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
Yeah, it sounds like somebody was record running. All the teams
2 losses
here, and then the teams with 1 loss, and then
you got Longview at 13 and Tyler Legacy at 14 in the same poll. So they're pretty close. They were pretty close. They were pretty close.
I think it won't be pretty close when they go ahead.
Canton's even at 6. Yeah, I got it.
Wow.
So this is Conrad.
No, it's not Conrad.
Oh.
I'm actually.
I figured it was a KMU person if it was Canton that high.
No, it's actually a good friend of ours, KO. He might work.
Brandon?
He might work for the paper. Yeah.
I mean,
he's watching because he does tune in. So what do you say to Brandon when he says Longview at 13?
So now that I know who it is, he does know who Longview played and the scores to those. So I'm not sure what his rationale for putting them at 13 is. As far as Canton being up high, I mean, yeah, they've had an impressive season, but they really haven't played nobody. So I mean, listen, everybody has an opinion. Not all of them have to be right.
That's right, okay? Though. If he wants to argue his opinion, he should join the show, right, KO?
That's right.
It's a good point. Explain yourself, Brandon Ogden. I expect a text message later.
It's always good. I mean, we have a lot of knowledge on the show, and then our voters too. So it's always fun to kind of, see what everyone's reasoning is. And I think that's what makes our poll pretty accurate, because we do have a lot of, even if I have someone lower and someone else has them higher, it kind of usually levels itself out pretty well. All right, let's go this little school poll, because this one's the one that's always interesting. There is so many teams that could be in this poll. And I think I'm hoping that we start seeing a little bit of it leveling out too as we get deeper into the season here. All right, let's pull this one up. Okay. So we've got we got maybe some new entrants in. Let's see what we got. Tabulated poll. It's not looking today. There we go. All right, tabulated poll. Yes, we have one new entrant into the top 15, and they are at number 15. The White Oak Roughnecks entered the poll, undefeated, 4-0 so far. You've got Malakoff is still hanging on. Some reason is in our poll. I have no idea. They're at 1-3. We're gonna have to research this one, because I think someone's throwing the tabulation there. We got a missing tab, a tab problem. Was it? What's the voting poll thing, KO? The
Hanging Chad.
Hanging Chad. There it is. Hanging Chad. All right. We got Atlanta at 13. I don't know how they dropped from 10 to 13 after they win over Mount Vernon. That's interesting. Garrison's at 12 and Elysian Fields at 11. All right. Kyle, you've got that face. What do you think about some of that? I have a feeling
I do have a face. So do you.
Yeah.
Okay. So my 15 or my 15 through 11, I got Gladewater at 15. I got Grapeland at 14. I dropped Garrison 2 spots from 11th in my poll to 13th because of a loss to Lovelady. I moved Elysian Fields in. They were out of my poll. I moved them up into 12th, and then I have Woodville up to 11th. So
because you had Hawkins in last week, and you basically said you went with who you knew, Hawkins, right, and you were going to see how the game went. So that's why
right. As far as the main poll, how Malakoff is hanging into the top 15 is beyond me.
You want to know how it is? You want to know how, Kyle?
Mm-hmm.
It's our friend over in Brook Hill, Coach Hubbard, has them at number 7. He moved them up this week from 8 to 7, even though they lost.
Okay, so Coach Hubbard's just not paying attention, is what I'm hearing. Okay, all right.
Jaron also has them ranked at 14.
Well, that's not fair. Jaron has everybody ranked, so that's not fair. I do like seeing White Oak hop in the top 10. 15. My only concern with White Oak is they did this last year. They started off 4-0 last year and then ended up not making the playoffs. So I'm happy that they're 4-0. Let's see it in district play now and continue going on. But like to see them in the poll. I mean, I don't have Atlanta in mind. So that's kind of the only difference there. But in Malakoff or White Oak. So I guess I only have 2 of those 5 teams in mind.
Jeremy, who you got? Oh, you're muted.
Probably safer that I was muted. I clicked on the wrong window there and closed the one I was trying to look at. All right, so my 15, I actually dropped 2 teams out. I dropped 1 team out, or maybe 2. I don't remember. Anyway, I've got West Rusk at 15. Just back-to-back good wins for them. I've got White Oak at 14. They were also new to my poll. Gladewater at 13. I have Elysian Fields at 12, and I probably have Grand Saline way too low at 11.
So let me ask you this, Jeremy. You were with me for the Gladewater West Rusk game. Who won that game?
West Rusk did.
So why is West Rusk below Gladewater?
That's a good question. So for me, it was one thing. It was the fact that they were unranked the week before. Okay. So I didn't have them in my poll. And then I also brought White Oak in. And so since White Oak is undefeated coming into the poll, I put them a spot ahead of the Raiders with the 1 loss. So okay. that was really my justification behind it. And I had Gladewater ranked much higher. I think they were 8th and had a little bit of a fall from the loss. And so it was kind of a tale of both things that even though they beat them head to head, it was a close game. It was 1 point. And the fact that I had Gladewater ranked I think they were in my top 10 before that. So.
Okay. Fair enough. I just thought I'd ask.
No, that's a good question.
So I had Gladewater 15 in my poll. Gladewater was in my poll after they went 2-0 and they lost to West Rusk, who wasn't ranked at the time. I dropped them out, but then I brought them back in this week. So they're at 15. White Oak entered my poll after they've gone 4-0. I also brought in my poll the Brook Hill Guard this week after a big win over Carlisle. Carlisle was in my poll last week. They've had an impressive start. I thought that was a big road win for Brook Hill. So they're at 13. I've got West Rusk. They moved up from 15 to 12. And then I've got Elysian Fields now. They moved up from 13 to 11. So that's my bottom 5 there. Okay. Let's go to 10. We got Grand Saline coming in at 10. Mount Enterprise at 9. Wascom at 8. Frankston at 7. And Lovelady at 6. What do you guys think there? Let's start with you, Jeremy.
All right. So I have at 10, I have Wascom. At 9, I have Mount Enterprise. At 8, I moved Garrison from 6 down to 8. And then I kept Frankston at 6, and I bounced Lovelady from 8th to 6th. So I swapped Garrison and Lovelady places in that poll just based on the big win by Lovelady there.
Okay. KO?
I'm going to be honest with you. Spoiler alert, my top 10 stayed the same because they all won. So I got Grand Saline at number 10. I got Frankston at number 9, ARP at number 8, Mount Enterprise at 7, and Wascom at 6. And I'm with you, Jeremy. I think you said you had Grand Saline ranked too low, you think? I think I have Grand Saline ranked too low as well. But due to my own theory, I've boxed myself in, and I can't move them up because other teams in front of them are winning.
Well, you got your. You can always create you a new theory, like the CM theory that we haven't
seen
for in a while.
Does he still have theories?
I think he does. I just hadn't heard any in a while. Shout out to our man Corey. Hopefully he's listening, and we'll be able to get out with this, hang out with us soon. But here's one thing. I don't have Grand Saline in my poll right now, so they're one I'm going to watch. They're one I'm going to watch for.
Ooh.
So, but here's the deal. I think I've got a lot of teams from the same district right now in my poll, and they're going to play each other. And so I think some of this is going to work themselves out. So I'm now watching you, Grand Saline Indians. I'm watching for you. They're a team that I'm going to be watching out for.
The disrespect.
Yeah. Well, they
defeated regular season last year.
Yeah.
They only have one loss this year.
Yeah.
And not even in your top 15.
There's a lot of teams with a lot of wins in this poll, unfortunately, for them. Like, I don't
at least they didn't have Malakoff in his poll above them. That'd be even worse, right?
That's true. Valid.
Malakoff is not in my poll. Let's just say.
Okay.
I've got Mount Enterprise at 10. I've got Wascom at 9, Garrison at 8, Frankston at 7, Jefferson at 6. So I think that mine didn't move a whole lot either, actually. I think I moved Jefferson up. I flipped Jefferson and Frankston because Frankston struggled this week, and Jefferson had an impressive win. So I flipped those two. The rest of mine in that area all stayed the same. I'm kind of with UK. I didn't move a whole lot from what I had. And the only reason I did that is because of the fact that Frankston struggled. And they struggled with a team they probably should have beaten by a few more points if they didn't turn the ball over as much. And so and Jefferson beat a Pittsburgh team that was ranked in my big school poll. So I thought that was an impressive win. So I did flip those. All right, top 5. Jefferson at 5, ARP at 4, Troop at 3, and we have a tie at the top again with Winsboro and Westwood, our de facto state championship in 3A Division 1, right, Kale? No. I
have Jefferson and Westwood as our de facto championship in 3A D1.
Oh, so we got some controversy. Okay, all right.
I mean, listen, I think Winsboro is one heck of a football team, and for the record, I have Winsboro ranked 2nd in my poll and Jefferson 5. All I'm saying is, at the end of the year,
okay,
when you get to the playoffs, I think Winsboro has a little tougher road to the state championship. Therefore, I think they'll get knocked out before the state game. But I think Jefferson makes it to the state game to play Westwood.
Aren't they in the same bracket?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Malakoff is not a deterrent. Doesn't look like they're not.
Or Liberty Allo, who knocked Winsboro out last year.
Yeah. That's interesting. Okay, so
could be a Jefferson Winsboro regional championship.
So what did you got your top 5 while we got you, KO?
Jefferson at number 5. I got Troop at 4, Lovelady at 3, Winsboro at 2, and Westwood at 1.
Okay. So you're still low on those ARP Tigers then.
Again, they were at 8. Everybody in front of them won.
Maybe they can impress you this week.
If they beat my number 4 team, then yeah, I think they may jump into the top 5. They may be like a Lindell situation. See, they're in the same spot as Lindell and mine.
Yeah.
Lindell and ARP are my 8 teams, and they're playing teams inside the top 5. They get wins. They move on up.
Okay. Jeremy, what'd you have in the top 5?
Yeah, my 5. I only had one flip, but nobody moved out of my top 5. So Jefferson's at 5. I flipped Troop and ARP. I have Troop at 4 and ARP at 3. I think ARP's win this week was just more impressive. Troop was kind of a close one. And then this has kind of stayed the same for me. I've got Westwood at 2 and Winsboro at And so that's kind of been I've had the same two at 1 and 2 the entire time. And so kind of on on that same theory, I just don't feel like flipping them unless, I can get some, more common opponent kind of thing, or if they play, if they played each other, that'd be different. But I did flip Troop and ARP. I feel like ARP's playing really, really well. And again, that's going to be a big one. And so I found out a lot about that.
My top 5 didn't change. I had Love Lady at 5, ARP at 4, Troop 3, Winsboro at 2, and Westwood at 1. So mine also. This poll is kind of, I don't want to say settled a little bit, but that top 10 is kind of settled in for the moment. Those teams have kind of, those bottom 5, I think, are kind of been fluctuating, and we'll see kind of how it ends up shaking out. But I think it's going to be an interesting rest of the season here with this poll. Is there anybody? I know for me, I already mentioned Grand Slam's one that I'm watching for sure. Is there anybody that you guys are looking for? Maybe it's right on the outside that you're kind of keeping your eye on for the poll.
I need to put West Rusk in my poll. I didn't realize it till you said it that they were 3-1 with their only loss to Malakoff. Now that loss to Malakoff doesn't look great now because Malakoff's a 1-3 football team, but I need to keep an eye on West Rusk. I think that's the one that stood out to me that I need to have my eye on to get into the poll.
Okay. Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I put White Oak in. I think it's going to be, a big couple of weeks for them to see where they kind of go, as they're coming into the poll. And, and then, like we said, I don't know. I don't know. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head there's a few teams obviously that can make a change. But I was trying to think. There was somebody I was thinking of, and now I can't.
Of course, because we're trying to think of it now.
You put me on the spot, yeah, when I wasn't. I guess Gladewater's. Well, I've got Gladewater in, but I'm excited to see kind of where they go. In the poll, are they going to be able to move up, and are they going to get hot again, or was that that one loss just that fluke 1-point loss? And so I think there's teams that are in the poll at that bottom that have a chance to move up, but I don't know of anybody off the top of my head that I can see. And I don't have Brook Hill in, so I think Brook Hill's got a chance to come into my poll. And then it'll be interesting to see what Carlisle does. Hopefully the quarterback's not injured for a long period of time. And so I think those are two teams, just because we cover them, that I'm going to keep an eye on as well.
Okay. All right. That's all for last week's polls and games. Let's move over and do some picks. Y'all ready to go? All right. We'll see how consistently together we are. Our odd man out is not here this week, so we might agree a little more than when Jaron, he likes to go on those throw those Hail Marys. All right. Pick'ems for week number 5. Going through these, there's a lot of teams off this week, I feel like, as a bye week. And so I was looking through these, and you got some teams that maybe we haven't seen in our poll that in this poll, but with some teams we have seen and some interesting matchups. So I'm curious of how this week's goes. This was a little tougher this week to make these picks, but game 1 starts off with a bang. 2 undefeated teams, Westwood versus Mildred. Man, I just can't pick against my number 1 team in the poll. I think Corsicana Mildred, they're going to be a solid team, but Westwood is with the Bryants and with Dial and that group. I just think they're a different level. So I'm going to go with Westwood. I am watching Mildred though, because they are in that district with Frankston and Carlisle, and so I expect some good battles. I think we're going to have them at least a time or two on our network later in the season. So kind of keep an eye on them, but yeah, I think Westwood takes this one. All right, KO, who you got?
Well, yeah, I'm not picking against my number 1 team in the Westwood Panthers. I think this will be the closest game that they have all regular season. I think it's going to be a battle. I also saw over the weekend that David Russell, one of the star players for Westwood, got hurt in last Friday's game. So I don't know the status of him. If he's out, that's a big loss for the Panthers. So all that being said, I'm not picking against KV and Bryant and the Palestine Westwood Panthers. So give me Westwood.
All right, Jeremy?
Let's just make it unanimous. I'm in that same vein. They're my number 2 team for a reason. They could easily be my number 1 if I had started the season flipped the other way, right? And so, and again, I think, Corsicana Mildred is going to be a formidable opponent, but I think it's just going to be that last kind of tune-up, to get them rolling and really just firing on all cylinders. And you want to play a team like that, right? You want to play a team that's really good and do that early so that when the playoffs come and you get teams like that, it's not a foreign thing. So I've got Westwood.
All right. Pick 2. Game 2 here. Beckville and Elysian Fields. All right, Kay, we're going to send to you first. You saw Elysian Fields in person this week and how good they are. 4-0. Beckville and Coach Ross, 2-2. They struggled early. They've gotten a few wins. They were kind of picked as that number 2. Is Jordan Prince in that team? Is it going to be a battle of backs? I mean, I feel like this is 2 good backs in this game.
I'm going to be honest with you, Brett, and no disrespect to Beckville. I don't think this one's close. I think Elysian Fields runs away with this one. I think, I talked to somebody on the Carthage sideline Friday night. We were talking about Beckville since they played Thursday, and he was just saying that offensively it's just a struggle for Beckville. It is, and I know they got Jordan Prince, but he said outside of that, it is just every single thing they do is difficult. Like it's difficult on offense. So the way Elysian Fields played defense Friday or Thursday night against Hawkins, I think the Yellow Jackets got a good defensive front, and they got some size up there too. I haven't seen Beckville, so I don't know, but just talking to somebody familiar with them, I don't know if this one's going to be very close. So I'm taking Elysian Fields.
Okay. Jeremy?
Yeah, I've got Elysian Fields too. I think it's Elysian Fields by at least 2 scores. And again, it's a home game for them. I think that matters a lot too. And I need Beckville to prove something to me. So I mean, Elysian Fields has knocked down every door that they've come to, and I don't expect it to change here.
All right. Yeah, I'm going with Elysian Fields too. I see what they've done early, and Beckville has struggled a little bit. Now, Beckville's 2 losses are to 2 pretty good teams in San Augustine and Joaquin. So they have played some tough competition, but I just think Elysian Fields is rolling right now. They're in my poll. Beckville's not. So I'm going to take the team that I have ranked higher, and that's going to be Elysian Fields. Game 3, Gladewater and Jefferson, both at 3-1. They're going to start district play here. Jeremy, you've seen Gladewater in person a couple times. What do you think about their chances against the Jefferson Bulldogs?
Man, I think I didn't want to pick this one.
Hey,
Jaron. That's the easy answer.
Hey, Jaron.
I know. No, I've enjoyed watching Gladewater play. I think they've got some really good players, but playing Jefferson at home is going to be tough. I think it's going to be a really good game. I think it's going to be a single-score game, but I'm going to have to take the home team, the Jefferson Bulldogs, in a tight one. And I hope Coach Lewis proves me wrong, but I think Jefferson's going to win this one.
Yeah, I've been high on the Jefferson Bulldogs all year long. Obviously, we just talked about them. I think they're going to be the representative out of Region 2 in state. So I'm going to take Jefferson in this one, but I do think it's going to be a lot closer than maybe we thought it would be at the start of the year. Last year when these 2 teams played, Jefferson won 41-12. I think it's going to be a lot closer than that. But I still think Jefferson wins probably by a couple of scores and proves that they are the class of this district.
All right, and I'm going to take Jefferson as well. I hope Coach Lewis.
I thought you were going to go the other way. You took a breath there. I was
no. I'm gonna go with Jefferson. They're in my poll in the top 5. I just think that what they have going right now. I know Coach Lewis, and again, I agree with KO 100%. I think this is going to be a lot closer game than last year. Gladewater's definitely improved, but there's still some things to clean up. We saw the game with West Rusk. They had a chance to put that thing on ice, put it away. It would have been out. The game would have been probably over, but they let West Rusk stay in it and then end up losing. That kind of stuff concerns me a little bit. You can't do that against a team like Jefferson, especially in Jefferson. So I'm gonna take Jefferson to get the win, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Gladewater keep it within a score or 2. All right, game 4. Grapeland and Overton. This is an interesting matchup here in this district. Overton at 3-1, Grapeland at 2-2. See, Grapeland's got wins over Cayuga and Groveton. They lost to a really good Frankston team and also Bremond. Overton's got a close, tight loss to Carlisle. They beat Alba Golden, Simsbury, and Maud. The problem with Overton is those 3 wins don't really say a whole lot to me. I know they're 3-1. The Carlisle being close to Carlisle is solid. That's a solid game because we know how good Carlisle is. Grapeland, man, we thought they were going to play Frankston tough, but they didn't end up doing it. That one's is a head scratcher to me. It's at Overton. Man, I'm gonna send to UKO. I don't know. I'm scratching my beard. I'm not sure. This is close. I think I know who I want to go to, but I'm not sure. What do you think?
This one's tough for me too, because I'm the same mental gymnastics that you were just doing is what I was doing in my head. Like, I want to pick Grapeland, but that Frankston loss worries me. Like, them losing to Frankston isn't the problem. It's how the score, how it looked. Like, that worries me a little bit. I just don't. And that was a home game for Grapeland too. The Bremond loss doesn't bother me a lot because Bremond's a state power. I'm not worried about that. The Cayuga win, that's a closer game than I think it.
The problem for me in picking Overton and what makes it so hard to pick them is they haven't beaten anybody that really jumps out to me. Maud,
no.
Alba Golden, and Sims Bowie. Those are not quality wins to me.
And Sims Bowie just beat Alba Golden. So that's where I'm struggling too, is that, Overton, they're 3-1, and that loss was a close one to a team that we think Carlisle is a good football team, especially when they got Ibarra and they had him in that week 2 game. This one's tough, man. Overton is the home team, but I love Coach Wood and the Grapeland Sandies. I'm gonna ride with the Sandies, man. I'm riding with the Sandies in this one. It's a toss-up, though.
Yeah, it really is. Jeremy?
All right. Well, I kind of did the same mental gymnastics. I think the thing with Overton, though, and the wins that they have, yes, they may not be impressive, but they've won them impressively, right? Like 40-0. I mean, they've not been like they haven't had. I know they're supposed to win those games, but they haven't really struggled with anybody other than Carlisle, who beat them, who we think is a really good team. And Grapeland, you've got the 2 losses, and again, Bremen's a good team, and then Frankston. I don't know. I'm going to go with the home team, Overton. I think it's going to be tight. I'm gonna swing this one. I think I'm going to go with the Mustangs of Kelly Green and see where that lands.
Do we even have to ask Jaron who he's going to take in this game?
No.
He's going to say Overton by 50.
I'm going with Grapeland too, KO. I just think that what I can see from them, that Frankston loss, yes, it's a big one. Frankston's 2A Division I, so they are a step up. And the fact that we know Frankston's a really good team. So, and we know the other they have 2 losses, but they're both to quality opponents. Overton's 1 loss is also a quality opponent to Carlisle, but I don't know. I think Frankston and Carlisle, I don't know how they compare yet. And so, to me, I'm going to go with Grapeland in this one, just because I think the competition level has been tougher, like to this point that they've played, and they were able to take care of the schedule. Overton, I'm not sure how good they are yet because I don't know how good the competition was on those wins. Like those wins they're solid wins, like Jeremy said, but do we know how good those wins really are? And I don't think they're very good wins right now, but I hope, shout out to Coach Lane Manson, the Overton Mustangs, prove me wrong. Win the game. Go do it, because I want to see it, but I think it's going to be a really good game, but I'm going to go with Grapeland. All right, another good one on the docket here. We've got Hawkins and Union Grove, which, we talked about this district. I know we keep going back to it, but every game and every even score, like point differential matters in these. We've got Hawkins versus Union Grove. Okay, KO. You saw Hawkins last week. Okay. Tell us, what do you think about them in Union Grove there? What are you thinking here?
I'm not sold on Union Grove. Like I'm not sold on them. And the reason I'm not is the 7-6 win over Cumbie and then a 20-0 win over Cushing. Like those scores just aren't impressive to me. The only one that really worries me about Hawkins is how close that Winona game was, but we even talked about it. Like I thought that Winona game would be close because I think Winona's improved. Mm-hmm. Hawkins didn't look great against the Elysian Fields Thursday. They had their moments, but they didn't look great. I just think that's more of Elysian Fields than Hawkins.
Worries me, KO, looking at this is, so you got Hawkins and Mod, a 7-point game. Mm-hmm. That doesn't, I mean, and Sims Bowie, okay, they won by 31 there, but that Mod, that's not a good, like, 7. We just saw Overton, who's in a classification or division lower, beat Mod by 20 points. And you've got Hawkins here now beating them by 7.
But a Union Grove win over Cumbie, a 1-point win over Cumbie, you can only muster 7 points.
And they've beaten Cushing and Como as well.
Right.
Those are
neither one of them have, I think, really impressive wins on their resume. I think this is just another factor of going with the one that I know. I know more about Hawkins. I just recently saw Hawkins, so I think I'm going to take the Hawks to win this one, but I think it will be a close game. I think it'll be a good one.
Okay, Jeremy, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm I think the same. It's kind of the same sentiments. Like, I'm not sure, but I think I'm going to go with Hawkins as well here. This was a tough one. I think it's going to be a close game, and I don't know even after this game if we'll know enough about either team, just because of they both haven't really dominant. I don't know. It's just that weird thing where they're both in a good spot at 3-1, and I'm sure they're content, but I think they probably want to win the games they've won by a little bit more. And, so I'm going to go with Hawkins in a close one.
Okay. I've got Hawkins too. I think that Hawkins is a team. So I think we've got Wascom there. We've got Beckville. We've got Elysian Fields. And then we've got Hawkins, Ore City, Union Grove, these teams right there. And I think this is where Hawkins, they can get a big win early. That could really help them later. I'm just really interested to see how this is one of the most open districts. You got 8 teams, and you literally had 6 of them, I think, with 2 wins or more right now. You only got a couple teams that have struggled. So I think it's going to start separating themselves by their regular season schedule and who they played early to kind of, okay, this team's a little better. We can tell by who they play, but this one's a toss-up. But I'm just going to go with Hawkins. I think what they've done so far has been a little more impressive than Union Grove. But hey, I don't know. Maybe we're all wrong here. Maybe Union Grove gets the win, but I think I might have done too good of a job picking these games because they're very difficult here. This next one, though, to me, it's a rivalry game. It would be one of the shockers around if this one goes the other way, but I'm going to go with Kilgore in this one. My only thing is, does Kilgore have a letdown and they overlook Pine Tree? That would be the only way I could see Pine Tree getting in this game. If Kilgore comes out and they play a solid game, that I don't think anybody's going to beat Kilgore the way they're playing right now. There might be another team down the road that could compete with them, but right now, I think it's Kilgore, and I think it's by 2, 3, 4 scores, probably as much as they want here. KO, what you think?
Kilgore by a lot. Yeah, I just, like I said earlier, Kilgore's on a revenge tour right now, and Pine Tree just, I love Coach Bachman over there, and I like Pine Tree a lot. I just don't think they got it this year. I don't know if it's I don't even know if they'll make the playoffs, truthfully. So, yeah, I'm taking Kilgore by as many as they want.
Jeremy?
Kilgore.
You got your Kilgore red on there. See?
Yeah.
Game 7. Henderson and Palestine. This is a game that I thought before the season starts, I thought maybe this could be a game that would be maybe for that 4 spot. But right now, man, Palestine's just struggling still. Coach Ray's they're improving, but they're just not improving at probably the speed that he can envision. I know they've got some good younger groups in. And so I just think Coach Meeks, man, he inherited some dudes over there in Henderson. Their rebuild is Coach Baker had done a great job of kind of getting them a little ahead of schedule. Coach Ray's has got a little more legwork he's going to have to do with these guys. And I think, unfortunately for them, I think Henderson's coming in. They're ready to attack. And so I'm going to go with the Henderson Lions in this one. In a big win, I think that is their first step to trying to claim one of those 4 playoff spots. Jeremy, what you got?
Well, we've seen both teams. We saw Henderson again against the depleted Gainesville team, but when you can score 14 points off of one offensive play and a punt return, and a guy goes untouched 65, and then a little bit later he gets a 72-yard untouched punt return for a touchdown, and your running back only plays the first half and, has 213 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. I just think the skill level at Henderson is really, really good. With Meaty, Starling, and the guys that they've got, I just don't see it. And their defense played really well. And again, I think Coach Reyes just has some work to do to get there. I think he's a good coach, and I think he's the right guy for the job. But I think they're a couple steps behind where Henderson is in that reset. And so I've got Henderson pretty big on this one.
Yeah, Hendo by a lot. They're 1 point away from scoring 50+ in all 4 of their games this season. And, that loss to Athens, like you said, that 1 point or 1 score loss to Athens doesn't look so bad now when you're looking back at it. So, I think Henderson is.
Oh, we got to switch it up. Oh, we lost you, KO.
Now you can hear me?
Now we can hear you. Okay, your AirPod died?
Yeah, I got to put the other one in. But before I do, Henderson is on an upward trajectory right now where they're just improving. And right now, I think Palestine's just kind of the opposite way. So, I think Henderson wins. This is kind of similar to the Kilgore one. Henderson wins by as much as they want.
Okay. All right. Game 8. Mount Pleasant and White House combined 1 win out of 8 in this matchup, but an important one. We talked about this district with Marshall and Texas High at the top. We kind of, before the season, we thought Mount Pleasant and White House might be that 3-4. Now you've got NAC that's played well. They're 3-1. We've got Hallsville has not played well. They're 0-4. So this game could be important later, but it's going to open up district play. I've seen White House, and they played well against Chapel Hill for about a quarter. Chapel Hill came out and let them score a few times and then kind of locked them down. They got beat pretty bad by Kilgore. They lost to Paris last week, and they beat a Dallas Wilson team. It's just not at the same level. Mount Pleasant they've played a tough schedule as well. They've lost to Lindale. They lost to Lindale by 1 point, which is an impressive loss to me. Like to be that close to Lindale. And what they done, and in a Sulphur Springs team we know is really good. They got beat by 27. I just think that Mount Enterprise is that 3rd team. I know they're 0-4, but they've played a tough schedule, so I'm going to go with Mount Enterprise. Or I'm not Mount Enterprise. Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant in this game. I just don't know if White House has enough to win. Now, I think they'll be ready to play. Coach Westerberg and that team will be ready. And I hope they come out and get the win. But for the pick'ems, for what I have seen and what I can look and look at the games that have been played so far, I'm going to go with Mount Pleasant. What you got, KO?
Yeah, I love White House, man. They're one of our schools now. I want to root for them. The scores just haven't been competitive, man. And then that loss to Paris last week, a 48-21 loss to Paris. I don't know how good Paris is. Maybe they're great, but I'm just disappointed in White House, I think. And Mount Pleasant, yes, they're winless, but they've been in these ball games with chances to win at the end. And because of that, I think I'm going to go with Mount Pleasant. I hate it. I love both these coaches, Coach Cluley at Mount Pleasant and Coach Westerberg at White House. I love both of them. I want success for their programs. It's just not happening right now. And yes, this could be a big district game down the road, depending on what happens. This could be for the 4th playoff spot. This could be who decides it. So big game to open district play. But I'm going to take Mount Pleasant in this one.
Okay, Jeremy.
Yeah, I think the big problem that White House has had is that, they've got JoJo Adams at quarterback, and he's got a ton of skill, but he cannot stay upright. They just can't keep him clean.
Man, he gets beaten and abused every game.
Really he's an athlete, true and true. But he's really better off being the running back or the wideout. And I know they have to kind of run him where they've got him, but they just can't. They can't keep him upright, and they can't protect him. And I think that's going to cost them in the long run. And I think this game is going to be that game where I think they're going to be in it. But I think just the shots are going to accumulate, right? I mean, we've seen it with quarterbacks. Like, it just gets really hard to play the position if you constantly are fighting and fleeing for your life. And I hope I'm wrong. I like the program at White House. I think they've got some really good guys and good kids playing for them. And but I think Mount Pleasant has had some closer games, and so I think their record's not indicative necessarily of what they're capable of.
All right. Game 9. The Chapel Hill Bulldogs travel over to Lindale, Texas to take on the Lindale Eagles. And Jeremy will be there live on NETSN. This game will be. I have a feeling that there might be a guy in this room that has it on his phone, checking it out from wherever he is. But yeah, I'm excited for this one, man. This is going to be a battle. I really think, again, Kilgore, Lindale, and Chapel Hill are the three teams, the three-headed monster for this district. And so you open up against one of those, you don't want to be that team that starts off 0-1. And we all know where I'm going. I'm going with my Chapel Hill Bulldogs to win this game. Sorry, KO. This is the game every year we're going to disagree on. It's kind of the no. We just know that's going to happen. And so I'm hoping that my Bulldogs can come out and play. Now, what they're going to have to play smart. They're not going to be able to do silly penalties and turnover. I saw in White House we got a lot of flags happy in that game. That's what kind of kept White House in the game for a little bit. Coach Cochran's going to have those guys ready to play. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. I think the matchup in the secondary is going to be key. I think can they put enough guys up front to stop the run enough and then still have the ability to stay with the receivers in the secondary? Because, Kyle, you mentioned it with Brown and Blaylock back there. Those guys can fly. So if they get the ball in open field, it's house call a lot of times. And so that's the matchup that I think is interesting. I know that Lindale will have the front to put pressure on G, but can they get pressure before he's able to get it to those weapons? That's the matchup I'm looking for. I'm looking forward to be able to call this game. Always a nice facilities and nice hospitality there in Lindale. So I'm happy that Coach Cochran's letting us come out to do this game. And so I think it's going to be a classic. I think KO is going to wish he was there. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he won't. He'll probably be a good one. I'm pretty sure he'll tell us here in a minute. But I'm excited to be there. And Jeremy, you're going to get to be there with me. So what are you thinking about this matchup?
I got to be the guy that flips the coin and splits this setup in here, right? Somebody's going to be happy with me and somebody's going to be mad. I think this is going to be a huge battle. Here's the key to the game: who can get the one stop, right? We saw the Lindale Van game. That was like 1.5 million points to 1.75 million. It was just one of those crazy ones. And Chapel Hill scored a lot of points too. And so I think it really is going to come down to like a key turnover or a special teams play that's going to make the difference. I think these teams are going to be really close. And again, they're right there at the top. I'm going to go with the Chapel Hill Bulldogs in a squeaker.
You're dead to me, Jeremy. You're dead to me. No, listen, this obviously I'm picking Lindale. We'll go ahead and get that out of the way. Go Birds. So I'm back and forth on this because I have the luxury of seeing both of these teams and seeing both of these teams recently. So yes, I'm 100% with you, Brett. What worries me is the secondary, Eagles secondary against Chapel Hill's receiving core.
It's something that we haven't had to deal with because Chapel Hill hasn't had those weapons outside in years past, and they've just been solid run, which I think kind of goes to Lindale's strength is with the line and the guys up front. That's why I think this is a little bit different game than it has been in the last couple of years.
Well, and I think back to a couple of weeks ago when I was in Lindale and Van was hitting bomb after bomb on Lindale. Now, I don't know. I didn't watch the film. So before coaches come after me, I didn't watch the film. I don't know if it was blown coverages, missed assignments, or I don't know if they just got beat. I don't know that part of it. But what I do know is what it ended up in is 6 points for Van. And so at the end of the day, that's all that matters. That worries me because I did just see Malik Brown and DeMarcion Blaylock go off against Carthage. And they weren't exactly wide open. You saw it. They were going over people and making athletic grabs. So that is a big concern for me. But like you said, the Eagles' strength is their front line. If they can get pressure on G and make him move around and be mobile, which he is, he can run the football and throw on the run too. But if they can move him off his spot and get him out of the pocket and disrupt that timing, then I think they're going to have a good that helps your secondary, right? But also, though, Jeremy, what you said, the special teams part of it, that could be a big deal of this. Remember that Lindell Van game? Oh, I'm going blank on his name. Anyway, that's gonna bother me. Anyway, he took a kickoff return for a touchdown. So they had a kick return for a touchdown. Chapel Hill just had a kick return for a touchdown against Carthage. So if Lindell can make a special teams play, a big momentum shift like that, a kick return for a touchdown, a block punt, a block field goal, something like that to shift the momentum, then I think that's where those one of those stops come in that you're talking about, Jeremy. So I agree, man. This was the second vote for the game of the week. I wanted to do game of the week for this so bad, but we picked a different game, which I think is going to be a good one too. But yeah, I would love to be. Y'all are going to get treated on Friday night, but I'm obviously picking Lindell. But I do think this is going to be a phenomenal football game Friday.
All right. Game 10, which I believe you're going to be probably your game of the week, KO. The Battle of the Tigers, a 7-mile rivalry, undefeated ARP and undefeated Troop. Kyle, you can go ahead and let us know that will be where you will be, I believe, huh?
That is correct. I will be in Troop, Texas, the thriving metropolis of Troop, on Friday night to be at this matchup. I don't know enough about this rivalry. Maybe somebody could tell me when the last time these two teams played and both of them were undefeated, like it be in a district game where it matters, where it means something like this. Like, I think this was, like I said, it was between this one and Lindell Chapel Hill for game of the week. But when you look at it, two undefeated teams, 7-mile rivalry, huge games, district ball game, opening district play. Like, it has all the ingredients to be an instant classic. And it got to see ARP earlier this year when they beat Garrison. Extremely impressive performance by their defense and the offense, but especially by their defense of holding Garrison to just 9 points. Troop has been putting up a lot of points this year. I know they didn't put up a lot of points against Rusk, but when you look back at their other scores, they beat Shelbyville 56-14, Edgewood 47-35, and then Harleton 62-0. I just think this Troop offense is rolling. But when you look at ARP too, the ARP offense 49, 44, 35, 61, but they've only allowed 17 points in 4 games, this ARP Tiger defense. So I think you got a tale of two different teams here. You have a very stingy ARP defense going up against a very potent Troop offense. Which one's going to win out there? And I think that's going to be an interesting battle to watch Friday. Give me the Maroon Tigers, baby.
I like that. You gotta.
Troops at home. I played offense. I'm a receiver. I love offense. I love points. Defense wins championships. And the older I get, the more I hang my hat on defense. So I'm going to take the defense that's only allowed 17 points in 4 games. I'm taking the ARP Tigers in this one.
All right, Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be the other game that we probably have on while we're doing our game if we have a chance to look away from ours, because it's going to be so many points, right? Like, I think we'll be trying to sneak some views of something or listening to something, but yeah, I mean, this is going to be unless something crazy happens and some injury happens or something wild. I mean, I expect this game to be just an exciting one. I'm going to go with the ARP Tigers. Just defensively, they've been so impressive. And again, Kyle said it, I mean, 17 points in 4 games. I mean, some teams have given up 17 points in a quarter, right? And to do that in 4 games is crazy. And again, I think both teams can score, right? So you got 2 really, really capable offenses. And then I think ARP's defense is just a little bit better right now than Troops is. And I could be wrong, but I'm going to go with the Maroon of ARP over the Maroon of Troop, even though I'm pretty sure it's the exact same Maroon.
They probably would say it's a different.
Don't tell them that.
Yeah.
Don't tell them that.
It's probably like the Chiefs and 49ers where it's like 1 number difference on the Pantone scale, right? Like it's like 234A and 234B or something. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be an exciting matchup. I'm glad I don't have to broadcast and try to remember which one's maroon and which one's in white and maroon, right? Like, that's going to be tough.
You have to go by the helmet. T and the A. The T on the helmet.
Yeah.
This one is tough. I look at the schedule to me, and that's what kind of sways my vote. I look down at Troop's schedule. They beat Shelbyville. Shelbyville has not won a game. They beat Edgewood. Edgewood's 2-2. Not super impressive. Right. So I see that. Then I see they beat Harleton. Harleton struggled. ARP also beat them. And then a Russ team, which is a couple of classifications up, but they haven't been strong recently. And then I go look at what ARP has done in the pre-district. They beat a really good Garrison team. They went to Mineola and beat them impressively. And then, of course, Sabine has struggled, but that is a step up in classification. I've been more impressed of ARP's wins have been more impressive to me. And you guys said it, the defense. I mean, they're probably ticked off when they allowed 9 points to Garrison. That's the most they've allowed all year. I mean, if you can hold people, then it makes your error margin less. So if you can keep them down and your offense can do enough to get the win, then you have less error. Like, your error can be less there. I think that's what wins this game for ARP is the defense. They have been very impressive. They haven't really been in a game. All of these have been just kind of dominant fashion. I think the Mineola game, they were trailing 8-0 and then ran off 35 in a row, I think. But I think I saw they were trailing early, and I was like, oh, they're trailing. And then they, proceed to put 35 points up. To me, if you can play defense on a team, like y'all said, getting older, I love to see offense. I love offense. We have not gotten an offensive shootout. We might get one Friday night. I have a feeling that could be our first offensive shootout. I'll say that, and it'll probably be a 14-7 win by Lindo or Chapel Hill. I don't know, but I'm excited to see this one because I think this one's going to be a battle. But I got to go with ARP, man. They've just been more impressive so far as overall. I know I've seen Troop in a scrimmage, and I've seen kind of what they have. I know they have a great team, and it's in Troop, which will always be tough. But really, I mean, they're so close. Does a home field really matter when you're traveling 7 miles down the road that much? I don't know that it's going to affect that much. It's not like they're having to make a trek for an hour. Everybody in both communities are shutting businesses down. Everybody's going to the game anyway. So I think this is going to be an incredible one. It's one I wish we could be at. I know we've done some ARP games in the past, but weren't able to this year. But I think this is going to be one of those games that you have to be at to get to know what's going on. And I'll be following KO because he's going to be our inside source for this one. And shout out to you, KO, for getting to be at this one.
I'll text y'all or I'll put in the chat the scoring updates for you. I got you.
You could update that app for us, and that would really help us out, KO.
Listen, let me tell you what I'm doing on Fridays. Okay. I am on my phone the entire game, but it's not tweeting or doing anything like that. I am taking stats on this thing for the entire game. I don't have time to look at this. Well, hold on. Let me make an adjustment real quick on this camera so you don't so you can see what I'm talking about here. All right. So we got stats, man, for drives and all that. That's why I was saying
you're turning into Brandon Ogden with the
well, that's why I was saying that it was that one fumble in the second half because I have Chapel Hill fumbles recovered by Carthage. So but then I have so I'm busy on the sidelines. I don't have time. I would love to update the app and all that. Maybe at halftime I can go in there and update it. But as for during the game, brother, I am swamped.
I see that now. I didn't realize. I thought you were doing like shooting highlights and stuff.
No, so we send little backyard baseball here. What's it called? Inside baseball here. So we send two people to the game of the week. So there's a reporter there that's shooting highlights and doing all that for the TV. I'm doing the digital side of it. So I'll go live before the game during the 6:00 news, kind of give a pregame hit. And then I'll go on East Texas Now at halftime around 8:30 to give an update on the game. The reporter will interview the coach, the winning coach after the game. I'll camera for that. And then he'll send that off. And then if I have enough time, I'll head back to the studio for overtime, or I'll just stay out of the field and do overtime from there like I did in Carthage last week. So a little inside baseball there. I'm actually doing the web story and keeping stats and all that at the game while the other person is shooting the highlights.
Well, Jeremy can attest on the stats. He's been learning how to get those stats. First week he shows up with like 2 or 3 different stat sheets. He's trying. I'm gonna do this one. He just by the first drive.
It's tough, dude. Like I probably do it differently than Brandon does it, or than Ryan from the Panola Watchman does it, then my buddy David Barber does it from Van Zandt News. Like it's whatever way is easiest. What I do, like for instance, last week, if it was a rush by Malik, I'd say rush 6 for 5. Boom. Then go to the next yard line. So then at the end of the game, I can go back. Oh, who is number 6? Okay, it's Malik G. So this is him every time. It's just the way I do. It's not, I'm sure there's a better way. And if someone has a better way, I would love to have a better way, because this is probably not the best. But
Jeremy Titsworth has his own way of doing it too. He does a good job.
He does. Yeah. He was my stat guy for years.
The stats. You were spoiled there. He took care of you.
I was. I trusted him with those stats too. I trusted his stats more than I wouldn't even question it. Like whatever he came up with, I went with. So it's a difficult task though. I respect the people that do it. It is a tough task to do.
Yeah. Well, that's all the pick'ems here. Let's go through some other games, maybe the ones on NETSN, and maybe some ones that we should kind of keep an eye on. I'll be at Tyler Grace on Thursday for Timpson and Wolf City.
I might be there with you.
Okay. We'll have that game on NETSN. Jason's going to be joining me as Jeremy. Something about taking a night off to watch some volleyball or something,
you got to see your kid play.
Volleyball.
I know. You got to watch your kids play. You got to spend. Can't devote all your time to the other kids if you don't give it to your own. So I get a chance to watch her. She's been playing well, and so good opportunity to catch a Thursday night game for her.
So Brook Hill will travel to Austin to Regents for a big matchup in their district, as Regents is the defending district champion, perennial powerhouse, Austin Regents. And so Jeremy and Chad will be traveling down to Brook Hill for that one. Let's see. We got what other games do we have this week? We have I'm trying to think. I need to go look at I need to pull up a different page. Just going down through here though. Another one that's a big one that I think is you got Jacksonville and Nacogdoches. You got two tails there. Can Jacksonville get off the schneid in district now and get a win? They've struggled. Nacogdoches has played pretty well preseason, but I don't think they've played the schedule Jacksonville has. Kyle, what are you thinking? You've got to talk to Coach Stevenson over there.
Yeah, I love Coach Stevenson. I talked to Coach House too, and I like him a lot too. This one's tough, man. I want Jacksonville to get their first win for Coach Stevenson and all that, but I think NAC might be the better team right now. But I think this is a really good game. I think it's a good opportunity for Jacksonville to get their first win, but it's not going to be easy. NAC's not an easy place to play, and like I said, I think they got the athletes this year, and they're not a bad football team by any means. So I think that is an interesting matchup on Friday.
Okay, so another one we'll have is Big Sandy will go on the road and take on Harleton, which those two teams have kind of struggled early. So that's an opportunity to get a win for each of those teams if they want to try to get in that mix for that, maybe that 4th spot. Big Sandy has struggled early, and so has Harleton. So we'll have that game. I can't remember who's calling that game. I think it might be Jaron. Can't remember. And then we've got, let's see, Carlisle and Shelbyville, as the Carlisle Indians will be traveling down to Shelby. That'll be interesting to see. Can Coach Baker go on the road? Will Ibarra be back? Will he be out against the Shelbyville team without a win at the moment? So I think that'll be an interesting game. Larry will be doing that game. Then we have Center traveling to Madisonville. Madisonville, a team they're in district with Center, I believe, in some other sports, not football. But Center took the loss to Dangerfield last week. So can Coach Brown get them back on track against the Madisonville team? And then, of course, we talked about these next two as, Chapel Hill, Lindale. That's where Jeremy and I will be. And then Mount Pleasant and White House. Josh and Chris will be on the call there. Those are our games that we'll have this week. We kind of have a short, little smaller schedule just because there's not as many Thursday games this week. So I think we're only going to have what's that, seven or so games this week. So it's a small schedule. I think, and then of course, our one of our main camera, well, Papa O just traveling the world. KO, have you talked to Papa O? I felt weird without didn't send him any money last week because he didn't work Friday, or I sent him Thursday. He worked Thursday, but he's out this week. So, how is the trip for your parents there?
He's selling the 7 Seas right now. They're on a Carnival cruise, having a grand old time. I told him, don't even think about anything back here in the States. Just enjoy your time on that ship. Excuse me. And they're having a good time, I'm sure. And I'm excited for him to be back because I'm having to fend for myself, get my own food and everything here. This is
no freebies, huh?
Oh. It is rough, man. I tell you, being a grown up is a tough deal. So I need mom and dad to come back so I can have some home cooked meals.
Yeah. Another one to look at, White Oak. Okay, they're 4-0. They got Atlanta coming to town at 3-1. So that's one. Can White Oak make a statement there at home against a tough Atlanta team? That's a chance for them to get a quality win.
You got Wascom and Ore City both sitting at 3-1. That ought to be a good game. That'll kind of start shaking that district out a little bit.
What about Lufkin traveling down to Barbers Hill? Coach Absek going back home facing his former team that he just left. I don't think it'll be a close game. I think Lufkin will beat him pretty handily. But interesting there that he's going back to Barbers Hill a year after he left. That's one to keep an eye on too.
Definitely. That's definitely interesting. You always, those return trips are always, especially he's going right back. Like he just left there. So he knows all the kids and everything. So I'm sure that'll be a bittersweet one for him to go back to.
And then PG has Sunnyvale. So Sunnyvale's undefeated at 4-0 and had a big win. Excuse me, just this last week over Van. And so you got PG and Sunnyvale should be a good one too.
Let's see.
This Mineola at Mount Vernon, that could be a sneaky good game with how Mount Vernon, how they played Atlanta tight. Mineola hasn't had the best season so far, but that Mineola Mount Vernon game, always a rivalry game, so you can kind of throw the records out the window there. I think that could be a sneaky good game.
I know this one's not directly in East Texas, but it's statewide a big game. It affects the Sulphur Springs district. Panther Creek and Salina play this week.
Yes.
That's going to be a good one. And you've got in that district, you've got Panther Creek, Salina, and Sulphur Springs all sitting at 4-0. That's going to be a district. I know our district here, District 9 with Chapel Hill, Cougar, Lindale, is a tough one, but that District 7 with those three in it is.
I think 7 might be a little stronger.
Yeah.
With top 3. Now, that's not a slight at Kilgore, Chapel Hill, or Lindale, but Salina, Panther Creek, and Sulphur, that is. Woo, can you imagine if what if we did where those teams played each other in the first round? So you had the 1 play the 3 and the 2 and 2 play each other. And then,
be good football. Good football.
Great football.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Looking down here, I don't really see any other ones.
Legacy's got a big one against Rockwall Heath. Rockwall Heath's 3-1. Legacy's sitting at 2-2, and there's kind of an interesting thing going. Royce City, who is not expected to do a whole lot, is undefeated. Rockwall, who's been a perennial power in the district's 2-2, right? And some of that may be who they played, but that district's a little bit. I mean, I think there's a couple teams at the top, but it's an interesting how that's all going to shake out.
Didn't Rockwall just beat North Crowley?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so they're 2-2.
No, I know, no, exactly. I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm like,
that's wild.
Yeah, they're and so I mean they beat them, I think, late by 3 or something. But it's one of those districts that's just so weird. But and Longview's at 2-2, and obviously we think they're better than that. But that's going to be Royce City was projected to finish last, and Legacy I think was supposed to be next to last. And Royce City's undefeated, Legacy's at 2-2, and obviously that's non-district, but that district's going to be a little bit more open, I think, than they thought originally, and so it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out.
Well, any final thoughts, Jeremy? We'll start with you. Final thoughts of Week 5. What's your things you're looking for? Anything?
Man, I mean, I don't like wishing days away because you miss opportunities for awesome things to happen. But I am pumped for Friday night in Chapel Hill, Lindale. Like I mean, I feel like a kid at Christmas, and the art troupe thing. I wish I could be two places at once. I think if I could figure that out right, man, those two games are like, I'm just excited for those big time. And there's other games too, but those two are 1A, 1B for games I'm excited to see.
KO?
I think the big thing for me is district. Like, I think, a lot, not everyone, because you still got Carthage just playing Jasper, so they're not in district play. Gilmer playing Brenham, they're not in district play. So there's a few teams that aren't in district, but for majority of East Texas, district play gets underway this week. And that's what excites me the most, because now they matter, right? These games are directly impact what happens to the playoff picture. So I think that's what I'm most excited about, is these games are – not that the non-district games didn't matter, but these games have direct implications on the playoffs. So I'm excited to see who the contenders and pretenders are, because they'll start separating themselves pretty quickly these next couple of weeks.
All right. I'm excited too. We've got a couple games this week. And so, but that's going to do it for tonight's episode of the Beast from the East. For Jeremy Diamond, Mr. Red Zone OT, KO Collins, I'm Mr. NETSN, Brett Swinney, signing off for the evening. Good night. Good luck this week with your pick'ems and your teams, and we'll catch you next week right here on Beast from the East, live on NETSN. Good night, everybody.
Northeast Texas Sports Network is dedicated on delivering the most entertaining sports broadcasts in East Texas. And if you're interested in having your next sporting event streamed live, visit us online at